The following program is a collection of stooges talking about happenings in the sports world. It is meant to be comedic informative. The opinions expressed on this show do not necessarily reflect the beliefs of their peers, their boss, or ESPN. There may be some cuss words because that's how humans in the real world talk. If you are young, please seek permission before watching any further.
Hey.
Why?
Let's go!
This show stinks, and the fact that you listen, we are very, very thankful for. Ah! The all-time leading tackler for the Green Bay Packers, you pig! Stop! Damn it! Be a friend, tell a friend something nice could change their life. Sport! Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to Detroit, Michigan on this post-draft spectacular feel-good Friday, April 26, 2024. This program starts now. Football! That felt good.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
It's great to hear. I can't believe these humans are here. We had no idea there was going to be humans out here. Great to see you.
Hell yeah.
For shoot, I don't know what that sign said. I thought this was shut down today. So whenever we decided to do the show here on this Feel Good Friday live from Detroit, it was strictly because Roger Goodell said he'd be able to come on live and in person. That'll be happening at 12:30. I thought this was going to be closed.
No. Mixed bag.
We thought there was going to be no humans here. We thought it was going to be an empty block because round two doesn't start till later this evening. Instead, we got Detroit folks just kind of trickling in here. It's great to see you. Thank you all so much. Obviously, the energy around Detroit has been fantastic. Last night was spectacular. We were obviously lucky to do it alongside Bill Belichick, who told stories and broke players down. I didn't do it alone. Obviously, I was alongside the Toxic Table, at Boston Connor and at Ty Schmidt. Con man, you get a brand new quarterback for the Patriots.
Man.
How'd you feel about last night?
Incredible. I mean, it was one of those things that you dream about. First of all, obviously, sitting on a desk, a panel, if you will, with Bill Belichick. That is something that once I got back to my hotel room was like, okay, holy shit.
Where's the lotion?
Holy shit. Yeah. Do I have tissues? Do I have Jergens? Stuff like that. But no, it was incredible. It was a hell of a night. Getting a QB like Drake May, like I said yesterday, never even had the thought of the possibility of getting that guy my entire life. All of a sudden, obviously, last year didn't go as well. But the consolation being a 6'4", 230 brick shithouse who can throw the football and run the football. I mean, it's the stuff you dream of.
That's literally what the draft is all about. You get a player and all of a sudden, wait, we're back.
Boom.
Wait, we're in a new era. We stink. We're picking number 3 overall. Going to have to rebuild from within. The Crafts are making bad decisions for documentaries. They've almost turned their fan base against them.
God.
But then you draft a big, handsome son of a bitch from North Carolina, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, this guy can lead us to the promised land.
Oh, yeah.
And for Ty, I know the Green Bay Packers won with a pick that you expected the entire time. Big tackle out of Arizona. Is that settled in? And did you break your hand last night throwing a tantrum as Mad Mel when Cooper DeJean was not selected to the Green Bay Packers when he is still available on the board?
Hand's a little tendy, I will say. Pinky hurts pretty bad. But no, I mean, we're good. And, yeah, after I kind of went to sleep and took off my Iowa Homer hat and kind of digested what Bill said about, which was kind of glowing praise.
Hey,
for
he
Jordan
really liked
Morgan.
him.
He did. And then you hear Gutekunst basically say, like, hey, he has positional versatility. He thinks he can start at 4 different places on the O-line. So, yeah, great pick. I mean, obviously you got the guy in Jordan Love, need to protect him. And who knows? The Packers could still go get Cooper DeJean tonight. So I'm holding out hope that they'll get that done.
Jackie Robinson Day potentially comes
Exactly.
on this particular Feel Good Friday for the Whites with Cooper DeJean. One half of the hammer, Dahn. That's pretty cool. One half of the hammer, Dahn. One half of the hammer, Dahn. Cowboys, Tone Diggs is here. Tone, the Steelers obviously bring in another oos on the offensive line, but what stuck out last night from first round of the draft for you?
Yeah, the Steelers are building the bloodline on the offensive line, which I acknowledge. Okay.
Always.
Oh, yeah.
We will acknowledge. The bloodline is now protecting Russell Wilson over there in Pittsburgh, which is a beautiful
was
thing.
also tweeting how much he loves Big Ben in like 2016, 2017. So that one was just in the stars. I loved what the Vikings did going up 1 pick from 11 to 10 to get the quarterback they wanted. Okay, they could have sat there at 11, they could have risked it or whatever, but they know they wanted J.J. McCarthy. They knew there was quarterback needy teams behind them that could have went up to 10 and got a quarterback. So they went up 11 to 10 to get the quarterback they wanted. And then they didn't mess around again. They went up from 23 to 17, I believe, to get
Dallas
Turner, thank you. So they had guys that they definitely liked on their board, guys that they definitely wanted and they did not mess around, and they went up and made sure they got the guys that they wanted.
Well, the thing about J.J. McCarthy is he's a known loser.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You said it.
Yeah, right. Literally all he does is win.
Yep.
That's all he does. There's a couple of Ohio folks that are, sorry, a couple of Ohio folks who have meandered in here for night 2 of the NFL draft. But J.J. McCarthy's like, all he does is win.
Yep.
And he doesn't bitch. He seems to be the consummate teammate. Yesterday, he was doing his local media runs after getting drafted, and Wayne Gretzky actually called him. And he played hockey. Now he goes to Minnesota. It's like a perfect fit for Kevin O'Connell. And then he gets a pillar on the defense side, Dallas Turner.
Yep.
Congrats to the Vikings and Kwesi Cook. And now a man who's the all-time leading tackler for the Green Bay Packers, a college football national champion, a Super Bowl champion, a Ryder Cup winner, a father of 10, the best jawline in sports media, A.J. Hawk. A.J., we're in Michigan, obviously. You got a great reception last night. When you think about the first round of the draft last night, what sticks out to you, pal?
I mean, everyone's going to talk about Penix and Atlanta.
Come on.
Okay. Yeah, appreciate it. I mean, they weren't saying that. A couple guys flicking me off and everything, big Michigan fans. I respect your passion. I really do. But I think the Giants, honestly, giving Daniel Jones some help and having faith, confidence in him, picking Malik Neighbors. There's a lot of talk before the draft or yesterday. I feel like, oh, J.J. McCarthy, there he's going. Boom, they're going to take him. There's 3 quarterbacks available that went in the first after they picked at 6. And they decided to give Daniel Jones some help and give him, hey, here's your year. It's all on the line. Let's see if you can be our guy.
I'm excited to see what happens with Daniel Jones and Dayball. You know, shot clock is on. Malik Neighbors, you had a weapon that can take the top off of defense. Maybe they'll be able to do it. No Saquon. What does it look like? Kind of a shit show over there from outside looking in, but they can turn it around. You know, if Daniel Jones plays his best ball,
they have to.
Malik Neighbors does his thing. Yeah, or it's going to be a whole new.
Yeah.
Mara's doing a whole song and dance about explaining to his friends why his team sucks again, and they're in the cycle. Neighbors is a guy no matter what field he's playing on, so we're excited to watch him. Now, a man who's a 9-year NFL vet, big brain guy, host of Everything DB, Good D, Bad D, and the NFL Matchup Show. Ladies and gentlemen, Darius J. Butler is here. D-Butch, big takeaway last night from the NFL draft for you, pal?
The quarterbacks. Obviously, we had 6 going the first round. Start with Caleb, Drake, Jay, and then obviously the surprise with Penix going, J.J., Bo. All these guys were kind of connected to these teams pre-draft, and they actually went there. So but I really like the Bears at the top, not really overthinking it. Only had 4 picks in the draft, sticking at 9, going with Rome. They added Rome. They added Keenan Allen, DeAndre Swift this all season, so they're really giving Caleb all the weapons to succeed early.
And they got a good defense. I mean, we said it a bunch of times, like Chicago feels like the perfect spot to be the number 1 overall pick if you're considered a generational talent. Defense good, culture's good, you got weapons, offensive line, can they figure it out? Tough NFC North, though.
Oh, yeah.
Tough NFC North. The story of the night, though, wasn't any of those things.
No.
You mentioned it there. Michael Penix getting drafted to the Atlanta Falcons at 8 or whatever when they just paid Kirk Cousins $130 million guaranteed in free agency literally a few weeks ago. And it is awkward in Atlanta. Now, I saw Penix celebrating with his family, had sweet sunglasses on, and nothing should take away from the night in which his dream come true. He blew both ACLs, both shoulders, still became a top 10 NFL draft pick at quarterback. Congrats to you, Penix.
Yeah, boy, Penix.
Penix did it. Once again, this is not Penix's fault.
No.
This is just like the Jordan Love situation in Green Bay, not Jordan Love's situation. Now, the difference between the Green Bay situation and the Atlanta situation is Green Bay had just got done going to the NFC Championship game.
Correct.
Green Bay had a lot of success before the Jordan Love draft pick and also afterwards. Atlanta hasn't been in the playoffs since like 28-3 game happened or whatever. They stink. They're building a whole new era, whole new coaching staff, whole new everything, and they seemingly use a very valuable, even if you don't want to pick anybody that's going to make your team better this year, you can probably trade that thing and get a lot more if you want to add more pieces. Instead, they pull the trigger on Michael Penix when Kirk Cousins is there, and then Kirk Cousins didn't know it was going to happen. Then there was an awkward give and take between Fontenot and Raheem Morris, who we're big fans of, about talking to Kirk, and, well, we're going to keep that private, his reaction. It was like, okay, yeah, pissed.
Yeah.
That means he's pissed off for good reason. Joining us now is a man who has, I think, a lot of thoughts on the entire decision that was made down in Atlanta, because remember, the guy that was sitting next to us last night allegedly didn't get the gig because people in the front office at Atlanta didn't necessarily want to lose their jobs because Bill Belichick, they know better than Bill Belichick.
Yep.
Bill actually wasn't in top 3 at one point, and Fontenot was the guy that was allegedly leading the entire charge.
Ooh.
So, to continue to add fuel to that fire, ladies and gentlemen, friend and confidant of Bill Belichick, Michael Lombardi. Lombo, hey, these people are cheering for you. Lombo, they're cheering for you.
I appreciate that. That's awesome. Go Lions. Go Lions. It's a great sports town. The great Buddy Parker started the nickel defense. The Lions have such great history. People don't realize what a great sports town Detroit is. It's amazing. The football team, it's unbelievable. And their uniforms, back to the old uniforms, are tremendous. Al Davis stole the silver from the Detroit Lions of their uniform. That's where it came from. So, great town. But let's go back to my buddy, the man who sat next to you.
Hold on, Lombo. They love Jared Goff up here, bro. Jared Goff is the chant through the city.
He deserves that, man.
Yeah, because they don't have like a Detroit or like a lie. Yeah, they don't have one of those.
What up, though?
What up, though?
What up, though? But no, there's no response.
Oh, yeah, you need that.
There's no give and take. So it is literally just Jared Goff. That is the chant. And they love him here. What MCDC's been able to do, what Holmes has been able to do, nothing short of remarkable. Let's get to Atlanta, though, because we've been watching your tweets. We've been covering the situation between Bill and Atlanta this past offseason, who they're going to go with. He was on a boat, then he was in the building, then he's not in the top 3. Then they make this decision with everybody having a football brain outside of Atlanta going, what the hell are they doing? What do you think, Lombo?
Right.
How do we get to this point, and why do you think they ultimately made the decision?
Well, I was the only one quoted in the ESPN article because I was the only one willing to say it on the record. Everybody else hid behind themselves, and we all know who was doing the talking there. But let's go to the concept here. Look, Michael Penix is a good player. That's not the obvious. That's not the conversation here. Michael Penix is a good player. But the job of a general manager is to prepare his team, is to marry the free agent system into the draft. And if you're Terry, Super Bowl winning GM Fontenot, who's won 21 games in 3 years, since he's been in charge, if you're in that job, you know in October and November, having watched Desmond Ridder play, watching Taylor Heineke play, you need a quarterback. And so you're going through all these quarterbacks. Remember, Brett Veach went to Andy Reid and said, we got to get this Patrick Mahomes kid. He's great. He did it in October. So you're doing that. That's part of your job. Your job as the general manager is to look over your team and say, these are the needs. And we've got to marry the free agent system to the draft. You're picking 8th overall. This is the second year in a row the Atlanta Falcons have used a luxury pick at the 8th pick overall. Last year they took Bijan Robinson, really good player. But Algier averaged 5 yards a carry and gained 1,000 yards the year before. Like, they didn't need another back. They needed a defensive 3 technique. This team finished 27th in forcing turnovers. They couldn't get off the field when they need to. They have no pass rush. So now we come to the season.
This team sucks.
Okay? They need a quarterback. All right? So I got no problem if you said in the offseason meetings that we're going to pick the quarterback at 8. We know Michael Penix is a pretty good chance he's going to be there at 8. Right? Why did I have to go to Arthur Blank and say, give me $90 million of your coin and let's go sign Kirk Cousins? Like, why would you do that? You imagine me going to Al Davis and say, hey, Big Al, give me $90 million. Let me go sign Kirk Cousins. And, oh, by the way, I'm going to draft Michael Penix in the 8th pick overall. Like, this just smacks at a lack of a plan. This just smacks at not trying to do your job as the general manager, tying things together. Like, and don't come out there at the press conference and say, hey, if Michael has to sit 4 or 5 years, we'd be happy because we're winning. Well, hey, I hate to break the news to you, Terry, but if he's sitting 4 years, you still got to pick up the 5th-year option. And if he hasn't played, are you going to do that? Like, every time the Falcons talk, they dig a hole deeper for themselves.
Okay.
No problem. No problem. Poor Kirk Cousins, he's got a no-trade clause in his contract. He signed a 3-year essentially deal there. Like, he never anticipated this happen, nor did anybody. Because why would you? You just put $90 million.
Lombo, Dan Orlovsky said after sleeping on it, he said he could see why he did it because if they have to transition to another quarterback in 2 years.
It's smart. A lot of
What's wrong,
backups
Lombo?
played
What's
last
wrong?
year.
You
I
all right?
mean, well, first of all, Dan's one of the great team builders of all time. I mean, let's put that out there. Okay, no one can build a team better than Dan. I mean, his math is ridiculous. There's only been 3 receivers that are bust since 2018, and he doesn't count Henry Ruggs because there was an off-the-field incident. Well, hey, Dan, why don't you go tell some owner that you drafted a guy that had off-the-field injury and see how that works out for you. See how long you keep your job.
We'll talk to Dan in the second hour. We will certainly talk to Dan.
Look, here's the thing, Pat. You don't have a lot of money. Say you don't have a lot of money, and you go spend all your money on a second Rolex. Can you ever wear 2 Rolexes at the same time? Of course you can't. You can't. You can only wear 1 Rolex. You can only play Kirk Cousins. Like, it makes no sense. You just signed a luxury item, and Big Danny signing off on it. Sure, it makes sense. Of course, he's built multiple Super Bowl winning caliber teams. He understands how to do it. He's promoting drafting wide receivers.
Okay. All
right?
Okay.
Oh, that's a great pick. This is a great pick. Like, at some point, does somebody sit there and say, the Kansas City Chiefs won a Super Bowl with their defense and no receivers and the great quarterback? Right? Does somebody ever say that? The highest paid receivers in the league so far have all been picked in the second day. Second round, third round, fourth round. Like, none of this. It's unbelievable. The Colts, your Colts, benefited from this. To get that pass rusher was one of the best picks in the draft. Seattle sits there with Murphy. They get the best 3 technique in the draft.
Wow.
This is 2 years in a row the great Atlanta Falcons franchise has turned down a 3 technique. Now, I can tell you this. You go put Chuck Pagano on. You go tell me how hard it is to find 3 techniques. They just don't show up every day. And you turned them down 2 years in a row, and you call yourself an architect of team building? It's beyond my own comprehension. But you got Danny O on your side, and he's going to come out with another chart to tell you why receivers are
He might come out with another chart next hour. He'll be joining us, and I already told him, like, hey, Dan, you're coming into hostile water whenever you come in here. Because this morning he was up on the shows doing, after thinking on it.
Of course. He's putting out stuff that makes no sense at all. Like, at some point, you've got to understand the art of team building. For example, okay, they talk the Raider way, okay, and I've been critical of this. Like, does anybody understand the Raider way? There's one man who knows the Raider way. His name's Al Davis. Al Davis, I think Brock Bowers is a really good player. I really do. But they can't block anybody. They don't have any offensive linemen. They've got Colton Miller and then nobody else. And so Al would believe the team is built from offensive and defensive linemen, and that's what he picked. They would have picked Murphy, they would have picked Latua, or he would have picked an offensive tackle. Because you can't get the ball to the tight end. You don't have a quarterback to get. You got Gardner Minshew, and you got nobody who can protect.
Yeah, Gardner Minshew is a Pro Bowler. Let's not forget that. All right, so let's pivot away from the things that are obviously pissing you off, and we can't wait to talk to noted Detroit Lion quarterback Dan Orlovsky in the second half.
Big Danny.
Oh, no.
Oh, Big Danny and mixed reviews.
Bag.
Let's go up to New England. Connor has a question for you, Lombo.
Yeah, Lombo, how did you feel about the Patriots standing pat at 3, kind of sticking to their guns, taking their guy of the future, Drake May, and not kind of overthinking it and almost screwing up? Because as a New England fan, people in New England, they couldn't be happier that they just sat there, took Drake May, and didn't screw anything.
Well, I think, look, if Elliott Wolf was in a tough spot because he knew that the Giants wanted Drake May, right? And so if he traded with the Giants at 6, he knew he was going to lose Drake May. And if he got the 6, he had to be able to get the 4 to be able to draft the next quarterback he liked, whether it was J.J. McCarthy or whomever. And I think it was McCarthy. So he didn't overthink it. Like, if he could have made the trade with the Giants and they were offering a very good deal, they'll probably deny it, but they were. And he turned that down because he couldn't get from 6 back up to 4 and guarantee himself a quarterback. And so he just decided to stay there and make the pick. Now, the key to the pick is going to come down to they're going to have to develop the quarterback. I mean, this is really on Alex Van Pelt because he's the offensive coordinator. Ben McAdoo, the former head coach of the Giants, is there as well. They're going to have to develop him. They're going to have to find a system.
Oh, yeah.
He's a year away from being a player. They're going to have to find a system that utilizes his skill set to the best of their ability. And they have Jacoby Brissett. So they have a bridge quarterback. They don't have a $90 million bridge quarterback.
Okay, yeah, we know you're talking about Kirk. Yeah, back to Atlanta. We see what you're doing there, and there's going to be a lot of that throughout the day, I think, by all parties. Ty has a question for you, Lombo.
Yeah, Lombo, heading into the draft, a lot of speculation on Brandon Ayuk and whether or not he was going to get moved or what was going to happen there. And then the 49ers draft Ricky Pearsall. Yeah, they're going crazy right now. The 49ers draft Ricky Pearsall, and now a lot of people are speculating, hey, maybe Debo's on the move. Like, there's been rumors that New England has reached out and kind of seen about his availability. Do you think the Niners drafting Pearsall kind of points to the fact that either Ayuk or Debo is potentially going to be gone before the start of next season?
And were you the first one to say Debo potentially getting traded here publicly whenever everybody was talking about Ayuk potentially getting traded?
I did mention that because I think, look, you can't pay all these receivers all the money, and I'm sure Dan probably could find a way to do it, but you can't. You can't pay everybody all the money, and so Debo's making good money, and he's under contract. They need Ayuk because they need an outside receiver. That's one of the things. The 49ers passing game is inside out, and when they have Ayuk, who averaged over 17 yards a catch last year, making plays on the outside, it opens up the middle of the field. They need that. And look, it's hard to trade him. I mean, once Odunze went off the board, there was no other receiver that the 49ers probably felt like could play on the outside and win. And Debo, for as great as Debo is, and he's really great, don't get me wrong, Debo is a running back that plays receiver. Debo needs to run. He's in the middle of the field. And he's so tough and talented with the ball in his hands that maybe he could be an attractive player. You listen to offers. They can't, in this draft, they're not going to be able to replace an outside receiver for them. And that's something they need. So I think they're going to have to really look at it. They're in the same situation the Bengals are in. They pay T. Higgins, but they have to pay Jamar Chase. And the cost of these wide receivers is going through the roof, right? We saw A.J. Brown get huge money.
Congrats,
we saw
A.J.
Amon-Ra Brown get huge money. You can't have four of them. You can only have two.
Congrats to him. Yeah, the money's only going up. That's why the Leggett trade for pick 32, Bill Belichick was like, that's a fifth-year option type move there to get that wide receiver because 5 years from now, let's say it works out for him. Let's say he does very, very well for Carolina. He goes on. That might be $45, $50 million a year for wide receivers 5 years from now, depending upon inflation and everything else going on in the world that I understand. But somehow everything is up that way.
Yep, no matter what.
No matter what. So the fifth-year option, not a bad deal. But it's like whenever he gets drafted, Pearsall, to the Niners, the immediate convo from Bill Belichick was like, well, a way to get cheaper is draft somebody. That's just an easy way to get cheaper. It almost like kind of pieces it together. And then John Lynch even said, or Shanahan even said, let's not rule out a trade too. Let's not do that. So will that happen? And you just talked about it, how inside receiver easier to trade. Does that happen this weekend still? Is there still chatter about that with Debo, you think? Or is this for after the draft with teams that might have a need?
Well, I think it would probably be sometime after the draft or maybe today. I mean, Buffalo certainly needs an inside receiver. That's the one thing they don't have. Could they trade him to Buffalo? I mean, Buffalo basically said in the draft they didn't like the receiver. I mean, because they traded away from two receivers. They traded away from Worthy and they traded away from Leggett. So they made those trades. And they traded through their competitor. They made a conscious effort. Their board said they didn't like those players. Now, it's expensive. You see, the problem isn't trading the player, it's trading the player in the contract. Those two things are hard to do, right? Because you've got to have the money in the cap room to handle it. So I'm sure that, look, Debo's such a good player. A lot of teams want Debo. A lot of teams want Ayuk. There's plenty of them. So you're going to have demand.
Debo's coming to the Colts.
The Niners are smart because they understand that you can't have all this money. The team in the league that has a really good receiving core are the Green Bay Packers, and they're 27th in terms of money spent. Why? Because all their receivers are draft picks, second-day draft picks.
Very young group. Here's the best wide receivers currently available to get drafted. You got Ladd McConkey up there. A.D. Mitchell is still available. Keon Coleman is a freak. Jalen Polk put up numbers alongside Odunze, as did McMillan. There's 1 point. Odunze, Polk, and McMillan were all averaging 100 yards a game. Now, that might be why Penix went top 10 because he had three wide receivers averaging 100 yards at 1 point. Troy Franklin, Brendan Rice, and another Rome out of Michigan. Roman Wilson's still available out there. Excited to see the weapons. Like, there's a chance that Brandon Beane, who we get to see at the Combine, and they put out the behind-the-scenes video, and he was watching diligently on the wide receivers, and he thought it was pretty deep at the wide receiver. So to your point, do we need the guy right now in the first round? He trades with the Chiefs, though, and they get Xavier Worthy. Like, if Xavier Worthy ends up doing full Tyreek Hill song and dance to the Bills in the playoffs, there's going to be a lot of people that are like, you literally opened the door for them to do this. But there's a thought that maybe second, third round, we could still get better and cheaper. Good for the Bills. I'm happy for him. D-Butch got a question for you, Lombo.
Yeah, Lombo, you mentioned that Green Bay Packers wide receiver core. Caleb Williams, obviously drafted him at the top of the draft, but then that Bears receiving trio with Keenan Allen now, DJ Moore coming off a career year, then add Rome Odunze, not trading out of that 9 pick. What's your thoughts on what the Bears did on day one?
Well, I think the Bears should have picked the defense. I think they should have picked Murphy, the 3 technique, or Latua, the defensive end. Here's the thing, Darius. I don't know how many plays you can get Odunze on the field. You got Keenan Allen, he's going to play 1,200 plays. You got DJ Moore, he's going to play 1,200 plays. If you're going to be an 11 personnel team, which means you're going to put Odunze on the field and somebody's going to be in the slot, you're playing in Chicago. Bad weather, wind, rain. Buffalo tried to be an 11 team for most of the time, and they've shifted to a 12 team because you're going to have some way to run the ball weak side, and your slot receiver's got to block. And so how many plays, he's a really good player, how many plays do you get out of him? Whereas when you study the Bears, Eberflus's defense is predicated on that front. And if you got another rusher to go alongside of Sweat or an inside rusher like Murphy that Seattle got, to me, I thought that was the better pick. I thought, to me, how many receivers can you have? You're paying Allen a ton of money. You're paying DJ Moore a ton of money. We know the receiver market's going up. And Odunze's a really good player, but I think defensively should have been addressed there for me. But they went to the receiver, and now they've got really good skill. They still have a hole at right tackle. Can they protect well enough for Caleb? And look, let's be clear. Defense wins. I mean, the Chiefs won a Super Bowl with their defense. And if you can find an inside 3 technique that can really generate pass rush and control the inside passing game, it's something you can't pass up, and that they're hard to find.
Yeah, I think the call of Rome Odunze and Caleb going to Chicago going into the draft was wild that it just worked. They were hanging out, I guess, working out together. It's like, I didn't think there was any chance that was going to pan out the way it did. Now they got young, they got weapons. I'm happy for the Bears, legitimately happy for the Bears out there. And Caleb had a what?
Whoa.
Shut your mouth. Shut him up.
What the hell?
Brand new Lions scared of the Chicago Bears.
Hell yeah.
No.
Uh-oh.
You guys scared of the Chicago Bears out there.
No.
Feels like
the Lions moved the ball to the Bears. So I don't think the Lions.
There's a Falcons fan. What an idiot.
The ball in the Bears.
There's Urlacher
there we go,
jersey
Mr.
out there.
Buckus.
We're okay.
Both.
Could be.
Both.
Last question here, Lombo. We appreciate you. Go ahead, AJ Hawk.
Lombo, Bo Nix goes 12. Sean Payton and the Broncos pick him up. Sean Payton came on and actually explained to us kind of the whole process. What do you make of that pick, and how do you think his NFL career looks like?
Well, I think, look, Sean Payton's one of the best evaluators of quarterbacks in the draft. I mean, he was in Dallas when they found Tony Romo as a free agent. He wanted Patrick Mahomes, and he just doesn't fly by night say, I'm going to take this guy. He sees something in Bo Nix that a lot of people probably can't. And what he wants is a quarterback who's going to execute the offense the way he wants it executed, down to precision-like, is what Drew Brees did. And I think Nix can handle that. And I think when you go, if you're a Broncos fan, you got to put all the trust that Sean Payton understands how to not only coach a quarterback, he knows how to develop a quarterback. And that's the key thing. He'll understand it. And Bo Nix has got vast experience. You want to take a quarterback with a lot of experience. That's what goes back to Penix. I mean, Penix is ready to play now. And unfortunately, he's not going to be able to play. When you get a quarterback with this experience, you want to be able to utilize him and grow with him and build a team around him. So, look, I have faith in Sean that he knows the quarterback and knows how to get the most out of him, just like Kevin O'Connell, I think, will do a good job with J.J. McCarthy. I think you've got to marry the two together to see how it all works out.
All right. Well, Lombo, we appreciate you so much for joining us.
I heard last night through the grapevine that maybe we might have a party at Ocean City this summer where we're going to watch Bergen Catholic play IMG, and you stay at the house, do whatever you want. We'll take care of it all.
Yeah,
I love that.
I heard we made decisions that were Airbnb in your house, so we appreciate you.
You got it. It's all clear. We're good.
Hey, does Bill have some stake in IMG Academy? He was putting them over last night. Big. They're phenomenal run here, like 5 years straight. I think top 10 picks.
Yep. But he loves high school football. That would be a great event. And Ocean City, Google, you should have your guys Google Ocean City High School football field. It's only one of 2 fields in the United States that looks over the Atlantic Ocean.
Oh, over there in Jersey too?
Of that.
Oh,
yeah, you love
God.
it. We'll get you taken care of, Pat. Don't worry. We'll get the whole crew here.
You're the man. We appreciate you. Ladies and
Thanks,
gentlemen,
guys.
Paisano Michael Lombardi.
Lambo.
Now, without further ado, Ladies and gentlemen, the commissioner of the NFL. Don't listen to them. No. Roger, good. Shut your mouth. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining us. Yeah. Don't listen to them, Roger.
They're idiots.
Hey, Darius.
They don't know. They don't know.
Hey, Jay,
Shit,
how you doing,
Roger.
See you.
Sir.
You're our commissioner. Don't worry about these bums out there. Okay, so my take has always been when you're the commissioner of a league, you're always going to make a decision that's going to inevitably piss off some fan base.
You notice that?
Yeah. I think there's been something that has happened, but I think what you have done with our league is nothing short of phenomenal. So first of all, I think all of us would like to say thank you for the direction in which the NFL has gone. It's bigger, badder than ever. We had 275,000 people here yesterday for the draft.
Amazing.
It wasn't like that before. Yeah. This under your leadership. So from us to you, we'd like to give you a gift that we know you're a big fan of. Ladies and gentlemen, some peanut M&Ms our commish. For our commish, obviously you can
This
take.
just why we're on set?
Yep, you can take these with you.
Oh,
You can take them home.
I might just say, I got a gift for you.
What?
Oh.
You ready?
Yeah, I like that.
With the 222nd pick in the 2009 NFL Draft,
Hell yeah.
the Indianapolis Colts select Pat McAfee, Hunter, West Virginia.
Hell yeah.
Come on here, baby.
Good pick.
Thank you, Raj.
I'll pick him up.
Thank you, Raj. I'm not going to pick you up because you got that
That's
back.
all right.
Yeah,
That's all
yeah.
right. I got it. There's your card, baby. That's real.
That's awesome.
I've been keeping that for, 15 years?
You had it in your back pocket this whole time. This is cool. Thank you for this. Okay, so on this note, the reason why we learned about your peanut M&Ms is because the COVID draft, when you were sitting in that leather chair, and then you had your peanut M&Ms. But if we think about not only battling through that and navigating that, but making the draft what it is now, and I know this is probably a vision of yours to make it a spectacle, but it certainly has become that. I mean, 275,000 people to anything is absurd, let alone just 32 picks being announced on a stage. The ratings are going to be bigger than any playoff game that's happening. How did you know the draft would be awesome if you traveled it? And at what point did you start initiating that? And did you see this? Did you see this happening?
No, Pat, I'd be kidding you if I thought it was going to be as big as it is. The reality is, though, we felt like we could be bigger than we were in Radio City. But it was a real risk to do it because it was really popular. You're in the media market. We had a great event going there. But what happened is Radio City actually put a holiday show in and said, you can't have the draft until June. And that's when we said, we're out of here.
So they kicked you out.
That's when we went on the road.
Okay, so I like that you had to adjust.
Yeah, no, it was, well, we were thinking about it very hard, and we really believed it would work. And then that just forced the hand, and we just said, okay, we're going on the road. We haven't looked back. So we went to Chicago the first 2 years, and they did a great job.
And then obviously Philly and Nashville. And I mean, Nashville almost became like the gold standard for it all. And then what we saw last night here has been fantastic. But the cities that you pick is a big deal. Tone Diggs has a question for you, Commish.
Yeah, I do. It feels like you've kind of found your sweet spot in cities to go to, these blue-collar cities like Philly, Detroit, and Cleveland, Kansas City, like
Nashville,
the football cities. These football fans show up. Did you find that these football cities are kind of the perfect location for the draft? And Green Bay next year, one of the most historic franchises of all time. Okay? And then I know there's a local media in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, who is trying really, really hard for the draft the year after that. Can we announce right now that the draft is going?
In Pittsburgh?
They're in the mix. I'll tell you that.
I need to know.
Right,
in the mix. So that may be coming soon.
So are they selling you just like with Super Bowls, these cities?
No, the bidding process for this, actually there's almost as much demand for the draft as there is for the Super Bowl. Because so many cities can't host the Super Bowl, but they can do the draft. But it's getting to the point now where the draft is it's not in the same league, but it's pretty darn close.
Yeah, it's huge for the offseason. Yeah. For us, it's like it saves us. We get to talk about what's potentially happening. We get to experience it, the fallout, the drama. It is perfect. Now, what you guys have been able to master, I think, which every other sport's trying to do, 12 months a year, the NFL is conversation. Yeah. And I know that whenever you took over as commissioner, allegedly, you never said this publicly, but the way it was understood is like you laid out a plan to the owners about how this is where I think the NFL can get to, this is where I think our game can get to. European, expansion, obviously that's huge. Not only games in England, but now in Germany. I assume you're going to go other places.
South America this year.
Brazil. Now we're in Brazil doing this. What's next? Because everything is up and to the right for the NFL. Ratings, money, sponsorship, eyeballs, interest, growth. Like, what is next? Do you have another 10-year plan? And how do you continue to grow when it seems like everything else is plateauing in the world, not only sports world?
Well, I think the number one thing is you keep your eye on the game, right? If the game doesn't stay strong, then I think all those things become more challenging for us. We really do believe we can be a global sport. So I see us playing at least 16 games on the road at some point in time.
Okay.
And on an international market. That may be 10 years out. But I see us getting there at some point. Will a franchise ever happen or a division? Maybe. I think that's beyond 10 years. So.
Yeah, that's going to be really tough, right? Logistically?
It's got a lot of challenges competitively. The logistics, I think we can solve. The competitive side, you get to Sunday night at the end of the regular season, you say, okay, Seattle, you're going to London. That's a rough one.
Yeah, it's a 12-hour flight. You might as well be going to Asia or whatever in the middle of a season. And then let alone, do you have a home base for workouts and tryouts and signing?
Yeah, you could do that. And we've talked about that. And that could solve that if you put your playoff games in a U.S. market, potentially a neutral market. But that's tough, right?
It's a lot.
Yeah.
And you talked about the game being great. And this is my last question before the boys, I assume, have some as well. We know you hate football. K-Raj, we're getting rid of the hip drop tackle. We got a new kickoff coming in. We have a video of Raj and Bill Belichick talking that we'll be releasing on Monday where you guys address everything. But for this particular conversation, whenever you get the data and analytics and you realize, like, okay, we can make our game safer but keep it explosive, is that where the decision-making is coming from? And do you hear all the people, I don't want to say in like blue-collar cities, but in football cities and the old-school people saying, well, they're just going to ruin the game. Like, it's not going to be football anymore. How much does that weigh into the factor in the conversation? And how much is it like we need to get safer so this game can live forever? Because I assume that's not easy.
No, it's not easy. And I got to tell you, Dan Rooney, who I was probably as close to anybody with, and I spoke to him every day, but we'd argue every day on this issue because he was more of a purist, right? And he said, this isn't football. And, my argument is it is football. It's still a physical game. These guys are faster. They're more athletic. We don't need those shots to the head. What we don't need the techniques that we've seen, the hip drop. Yeah, or absolutely. And
Jim Harbaugh did that to me in the hallway at the annual meetings because as soon as we heard about it, every former football player is like, hip drop tackle, we don't even get taught that. Like, nobody is taught, like, don't hip drop tackle. And then I saw Harbaugh, Jim, in the hall, and I was like, what are your thoughts, old school football guy, on the hip drop tackle being taken out of there? He goes, needed to happen. And then he demonstrated to me what it was. He, like, grabbed around my back, and then he threw he's huge. He's a big dude. Threw his body on the back of my legs. Yeah. And he was like, we just need to eliminate that. And that's like.
And it's not that many plays.
Okay.
And we're also seeing it start to happen in college football. We saw it down at Florida State this year. And not only are there more injuries, there are more severe injuries. Guys are out for a season, maybe in a career. So they lead to very significant injuries. So, and it doesn't happen that often. And we got to coach it out. We got to educate it out. But we may have to officiate it or find it out.
Yeah, so probably find it out, right? That's everybody's kind of understanding.
I think in the initial phase, it's gonna, it's an adjustment for everybody, right? The coaches, the players, the officials, all of us are going to have to adjust to it a little bit. But that's always the way it works.
Do you guys think about, like, if one of those gets called in the fourth quarter for Kansas City, let's say,
man.
It's going to be as loud as hell that's a judgment call. It wasn't called earlier. It was a fine this time. Don't you think you're kind of adding to potential, I don't want to say discrepancies, but at least a little bit of fodder for these people that'll get very loud about something?
I think the way we'll deal with it with the officials is if it's very clear and obvious.
Got it.
You should throw it. If it's on the edge, that's not what we're looking for because they're still training their eyes too. And so we're looking at that. We can deal with it as fines. And hopefully that'll get it out of the game very quickly also.
Just like you guys did with the quarterback sack, like early in the season, it was like, or the shots to the head. Early in the season, it was like boom, 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 boom. Yeah. And we were all bitching, like, nope, this isn't football anymore.
Bullshit.
What are we doing?
Or body weight on the quarterback was another one.
That's tough.
But you don't hear about it much anymore.
Who are in these rooms when these rules are coming? Like, are they players, former players? Like, who are in these rooms?
In the rooms back in the office?
When the rules
guys
are
like Troy Vincent,
Got
Dahn
it.
Runyon.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the vast majority of our guys are players that played a lot of years. I think the last time I looked when we had a player come in, it was over 100 years experience sitting in the room with us.
No, I heard there's no football guys in.
That's exactly what we heard.
I'm not putting myself in there.
Yeah. Hey, Connor's got a question for you.
Yeah,
Commish.
Commish, first I want to thank you on behalf of everyone for taking Christmas Day. I think
Hell yeah.
I think all of us can acknowledge that Christmas and the presents will be so much better with some football on the TV. At what point did you decide, like, hey, I get it, Adam Silver? Did you call him? Did you say, sorry, but this is ours now? We are taking Christmas from you? Or what was that conversation, and when did you know, like, yeah, we have to play games on Christmas every year?
And Black Friday now has a game.
Yep.
No, I think we've looked for those opportunities where we can create an event out of it. And, holidays that's what we do. Thanksgiving's been our biggest day of football for years.
Detroit, these guys watch the team lose every year.
And they help create it. But, we saw it. I think we averaged 30 million people for the Christmas games over the last 4 or 5 years. So for us, that's where our fans are. So I don't ask permission for that. We go where the fans are. No, we're going to go and we're going to find a way to satisfy that. It was a little more challenging this year with the Wednesday. But what we've proven here, we can do the Sunday to Thursdays, no health consequences whatsoever. The data does not show that. So Wednesday, Saturday works. So we're going to have 4 teams playing on Saturday. We'll mix them up and play them again on Christmas Day.
Okay, so I have a question about games. We went from 16 to 17 games.
Yeah.
And we were only on the internet when this happened. So I don't know if it made it to your office or not. As soon as it happened, I was like, okay, this is a clear opening to 18 games. And then if you add an extra bye week in there, which I don't know if that's been discussed, now we got 20 weeks, 20 primetime games, let alone whatever other days we're going to. Now the NFLPA is always going to fight against having more games. Is there a plan to continue to expand? Because 17 games feels good now. Like at the beginning, I think a lot of players, and I don't want to talk for in the locker room, there's probably a lot of offensive linemen and things like that are telling me to shut the hell up. But as fans, it's like 17 games has just become like status quo. Is there a thought of adding another one, maybe adding another bye week so we can get more exposure, more TV deals, or are we good at 17 right now?
Well, I think we're good at 17 now. But listen, we're looking at how we continue. I'm not a fan of the preseason. I don't think we need preseason.
Waste of time, right? And energy.
I don't buy it. And I don't think these guys like it either.
Well, they have to spend full price for the tickets for those games.
No, they're actually discounted now. So
thank you for doing
we
that.
got that done.
Thank you.
That's our commission.
That's our commission.
Thank you, commission.
But the reality is, I think I'd rather replace a preseason game with a regular season any day. That's just picking quality, right? So if we got to 18-2, that's not an unreasonable thing. The other thing it does, which I thought you were going to, is that ends up on President's Day weekend, which is a 3-day weekend, which makes the Sunday night, and then you have Monday off. So that's
wow.
Now we're cooking.
See,
now we're cooking.
Can you talk to the president about having the Monday after the Super Bowl off too?
Need that.
Yeah, we saw you at that oversight committee when I was really excited for you to get in there because
it was fun.
I called you Goodle. One guy called you Goodle. But I've said this for a long time, and it's very real. You're one of the greatest speakers, orators that has ever existed, and I figured that out whenever you had to come to all the rooms, all the teams, right before the lockout, and you stood.
I remember in that with Jeff Saturday. Right?
Yeah. That was a hot room.
Yeah,
that room
that
got
was
hot.
a hot room. That was a very hot room.
Yeah, and you handled it though. And then we walked out of there, and I'm like, damn, that guy's one of the greatest. That guy's one of the greatest speakers I've ever heard in my entire life. Somehow put the fire out, and then we watch you do it. Why do you think? Commissioner is the job that you were meant for. Why do you think you've done the job that you've done? Now, not every decision has been perfect. I assume you look back and there's some stuff where you're like, made a mistake here, misjudged this, should have done different. You're not going to be perfect. But why do you think you've had the success that you've had at the commissioner role? And what is day-to-day for you? Just trying to figure out how we continue to grow the game?
Listen, I think the first thing that I've always had was a true understanding of what the commissioner's role was, because Pete Rozelle was really my mentor. I mean, at the end of the day, that's where I got into business, and I think he's the greatest commissioner there's ever been in sports. But it's also, you got to have that passion for the game, and you got to feel like that's family. I've got to do everything I can to make the game the best for these guys, our partners, and that's the starting point. So every one of your decisions is in the best long-term interest of the NFL. The second thing, the challenges, is that what you asked?
Yeah.
I think the challenges for us is dealing with success. I said that since I became commissioner. When I went in for, I guess, my 15-minute conversation with the owners before they selected a commissioner, I said, the biggest challenge is you get complacent and you start thinking that success is going to continue, because you've got to stay ahead of things. You got to keep getting better. You got to keep looking for new things to do, and that includes making the game safe. It includes going international. It includes
streaming
looking at new platforms. It includes trying to look at a better season structure where you're giving them better quality rather than lesser quality.
You've done a fantastic job. I mean, they'll boo you. Everybody's going to boo you.
That's all fun, though.
Yeah. Fun and games.
And whenever we say that you have to answer to 31 billionaires, how accurate is that?
32. Well, you're not counting Green Bay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
doesn't count.
Big Pop. There's a Green Bay Packers.
I didn't know he did.
Yeah. No, that was. Yeah. So is that an accurate assessment?
I don't actually think that way. I actually think I answer to them. I think I answer to the media partners. I think I answer the players. I think I answer the owners too. The idea for me is to try to keep everyone happy. I always say that my biggest job is not to piss off more than 24 owners in a given day.
There you go. Jumped in.
Okay, so Bill and I talked about this yesterday.
I'm excited to hear.
And you haven't
Monday
seen it,
we'll release the video.
Bill and I talked about it yesterday. And we did a little bit of that right before COVID and stopped it during COVID just because of the circumstances. And we didn't see a difference. It doesn't mean that we did it right. So we still look at it. But I'm also sitting back and I'm watching a lot of playoff basketball, hockey. I'm hearing a lot about officials, and all of those guys are full-time. And my only point to that is this is a human game. It's a fast game. They're people like you and I. They make mistakes.
Got it.
For us, the way to correct it is to try to add technology. And so replay assist is something we're bringing even further in this year. And by the way, Coach Belichick was one of the biggest proponents. He's got another one, which we hear. He'll tell you on the show. But he says it every year. And I think we're going gradually more comfortable with that to allow the officials more information when they make decisions.
Yeah, we've heard after further discussion by refs on the field last year more. That's the beam down.
Yeah, that could be a pool, but more than likely someone's in his ear.
Okay, so you see the XFL do that and other leagues do that, and then you think you're maybe it's a little bit of a precedent type thing, or how do we ease into that?
No, I didn't see that. That's something we've been doing in the last several years because there were always very strict rules with replay. We always wanted to be avoiding subjective calls. It had to be an objective call. We've now moved a little bit further with that. But it was really more, they wanted the call to be made by the referee on the field. And it still is, but we're giving the referee more input.
Assistance. Yeah, a little bit more help.
Whether it's a replay official or whether it's somebody in New York that's looking down and says, I saw that, his foot's out of bounds at 3. And you missed it. The idea is here to be consistent in officiating and not avoid those errors that are game-changing. Right?
Yeah.
Officiating is part of the game.
Well, the issue is, I see it in 8K at my house. I'm seeing it in an 8K in super slow motion, and the ref wasn't even allowed to look up at the Jumbotron for certain times.
That's correct.
Yeah, they weren't even allowed to see it. So the entire stadium of 70,000 people is watching a zoomed-in mistake that is in there. So I'm happy that you guys are embracing technology because I think, if you use it as a tag team partner as opposed to it's trying to correct you, the game's going to get better and better. I do appreciate you saying.
But you also point out one other thing, which technology. We see more today than we could see. I mean, you go back and look at a film 20 years ago.
AJ's film?
Right?
Yeah, 10 years ago. It looks like you're playing in the 50s.
It's much different.
Yeah, it's classic. How much louder has it gotten, I guess, the gripes with the refs or lack of full-time refs with the growth of sports betting? Because obviously sports betting, people talking about the script, Taylor Swift showing up the games, things happen. How much louder has it gotten in your office with the growth of that?
I haven't felt that at all. I think for us, it's always just constantly what it is we need to do to make the game better. Obviously, when you have sports betting that's legalized, it was illegal at the time, so we still protected its integrity. We didn't support making it legal. The Supreme Court made the decision. We've got to adjust to that. And when we did, you do have to be partnering with some of these partners because they actually give us access to the information that can detect something before it really becomes a problem. And so we get a lot of information by being involved there. People think that's, conflicting with our previous position, but we just have to adjust to whatever the law is. the way it works.
Yeah, anytime, though, like the NBA has had to deal with it with one of their refs, Tim Donaghy, I think, like 10 years ago, and then Jonte Porter just happened just a couple weeks ago. That ruins it for all of us. I think, like us as former players, the same thing. Whenever you gave a season-long ban to Calvin Ridley, I think, and there's a lot of people comparing that to like other punishments that have taken place. It's like that one, everybody that's involved with football understands. If we mess this up, it messes the integrity of the game cannot ever be questioned, even though it always will be, because of the outcomes of sport. And why sport is so awesome is because anything can happen. But like, if there's any proven shit like that, it can ruin everything. And obviously, we all understand that.
Without question. If people think there's an influence on the game other than the players on that field, we're in trouble.
Well, Taylor Swift, we know.
Yeah, of course.
Well, that's a different kind of influence.
How about, hey, listen, a lot of jokes are made on
Taylor Swift.
Yeah, you can't, Bill.
There it is.
Yeah, you're going to be a part of an album.
Wow.
Do it. Get a little louder. She is going to cook you. I'll let it be known. You had to be, and obviously the internet talked about your reaction to Taylor Swift all of a sudden becoming a part of the NFL family. Oh, yeah. Also on the reigning Super Bowl champions, one of the most famous players we have, and somehow in a suite that has 4 cameras on it every single primetime game. And now a demographic got exposed to football. I saw a lot of tweets from like dads saying, my daughter watched more NFL football with me this weekend than she ever had because Taylor Swift. A lot of the internet was saying Roger Goodell is sitting at home through the moon about this.
Well, they thought it was part of the script.
Yes.
Too, right? Yeah.
Well, then you went and talked to her. Then you went and talked to her. There it is. But as that's happening, you think to yourself, like, obviously, as the commissioner of the league, this is good for the league that the biggest superstar on earth right now is interested. But when it starts happening and you start hearing the noise, what is the reaction from you guys at the office? And is it like we're trying not to mess this up? We don't want to be too much. We don't want to be, like, what is the NFL stance on it? Because she's selling out every stadium.
Mm-hmm. No, and listen, there's some things you can control and not control. But listen, anybody who's interested in the NFL, that's good for me and good for everybody involved with the NFL. You get somebody with the kind of exposure and the following like Taylor Swift, who does love football. I've known her for 15 years. I first met her in New Orleans. She loves the game. And so that's great for us, right? Take the relationship out of it, which if they're happy,
hey, we're
I'm
pulling
happy.
for him.
Right?
Yeah. Hey, way to go, Trav. I don't know if you heard the songs. She sang a couple songs about him. She feels so high school about Trav. It's great. It's great album. It's a great song. Connor's got a question for you, Commish.
Yeah, Commish. Obviously, right now there's kind of this transition period with college football and NIL and how much that is changing kind of the landscape of everything when it comes to college athletics. Have you seen any sort of change, at least in the players that have come through in recent years in comparison to previous ones, just because of the fact that they are coming to the NFL with money? You know, yesterday Pat mentioned, you know, these college guys for the first time are getting time and money once they get to the NFL, and now it's kind of like, well, they already have the money now. Now they're just getting a lot of more free time. Have you seen anything like that? Is that something that you
the
monitor?
one thing that was really interesting to me is because we've always held very strongly to our eligibility rule. So you have to be at least 3 years out of high school. And in the last 3 years, we've seen that go from about 110 back down to about 78, 80, somewhere in that area. And the reality is guys are staying in college football because they're getting paid.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. And so I don't think that's a bad thing because they're still in the college program. I'm a big believer in college football. I love it. I watch it all day. But I also think they make stars for our players. They give them that platform. They get them ready to play the professional game, both physically, mentally, and otherwise. And so I think it works. On the other hand, we always look at what does this mean to us? What ultimately is this going to mean to the game of professional football? We work really closely with college football. I'm meeting with them in the next week. We want to try to help. We want to try to do.
Well, are you going to take them in? Are you going to bundle them?
No, I don't see that.
Yeah.
I don't see that. I really don't see that. At least today, but I don't see that in the future.
So whenever we're talking about the college football, and I've gotten baptized in it with College Game Day, they've just dropped me right into college football.
Yeah.
Bad decision. A lot of the old whites hated me in the South. These people hated me. Why is this doofus in our game? But I've got to learn a lot about it. A lot about it.
Yeah.
And it's like all the problems that are currently happening in this transition era with no guardrails on the NIL. There's no free agency period. There's no actual contract structure. So some of these players are signing deals that are giving up like 25% of future earnings. Like it's kind of all over the place. There's so many issues with it though. Like there's only a couple people that could probably You're one of them.
Yeah.
So if you got time, why don't you do that? Why don't you go take care of college football?
Am I part-time, John?
Yeah, exactly. Why don't you go do that? That'd be great. But it has served as a minor league to the NFL for a very long time. So obviously you have the importance with each other, but like there's so many questions down there. Do they ask you about any of this stuff? Or?
Yeah, and we talk a lot about, I mean, COVID's a great example. Everything we were doing COVID, we shared with college football. So I was talking to the conference commissioners and telling them what we would do. We shared our medical protocols. We found a way to get through that and try to help, the game of football overall. And we did that with other leagues too, to be honest with you. We all sort of shared information. But I think that's true in this case. The problem with it is who's in control? Is it the NCAA or is it the conferences? And how they're moving around. So for us, I don't know enough about it right now, but if anybody asks us for help, we're going to try to do our best.
They need you. So I hope that happens ASAP. And as we roll into round 2 of the 2024 NFL Draft, let's look back on what happened in round 1. Make-A-Wish kid.
Oh, that was good.
Yes. Justin Lavergne. Did I pronounce that right? Lavergne? I think it's right.
Just Laverne.
He does, obviously, he calls Xavier Worthy getting drafted to the Chiefs with a trade with the Buffalo Bills, and it's a magical night. You do a lot of this. I don't think I remembered how many different high school athletes were out here.
Oh, yeah.
I think there was firefighters out here. You got a Make-A-Wish kid out here. Yeah. You're doing a lot of good for the community. But immediately after that, I guess you FaceTimed Andy Reid as well, and there was a Yeah.
I didn't. Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
Yeah. You set him up. Let's go, Raj.
Yeah, well,
look at the commissioner's a human. I didn't know that was the case. That's a sweet thing. That's a sweet night.
Well, Coach is a great guy, and that was a moment that he's just a great kid, and it's a great story of his father and son and all the things they've been through. So Make-A-Wish is a great program for us. But that was a chance I knew Andy would grasp it, and he responded right away. So
that's beautiful. Hey, whenever you say the Atlanta Falcons take Michael Penix Jr., while it's coming out of your mouth, you're like, well, the world's about to explode right now. Is that, yeah, you understand that?
No, it was funny. When I got the card, I looked down at it and I go, wow, this will get a reaction.
Yeah. That's right. Speaking of a reaction, you got picked up last night. Recent back surgery. You okay?
I did, yeah. No, it wasn't too bad.
We handling big bumps still? We practice? We run into walls before this? How do we?
I actually had a guy from NFL Films who's about 6'4", about 260. I said, just pick me up once. And just let me see how it goes. And that just let me down easy. But he was great. That's a great kid. And you know what it is? It's just a pure emotion. And that's, by the way, I probably had back surgery because of all the other drafts.
Yeah, Christian. You and Christian Wilkins.
Christian, I could have died.
We're happy you didn't. We're happy you didn't. And we're thankful you stopped by. I used to say you were scared to come on the show, because we'll ask you real questions. But what I should have realized is just like in that team meeting room, right before the lockout, there's no such thing as a tough question to Roger Goodell.
Nope.
You are the man to be guiding our league. We're very lucky and thankful. Can't wait to see what you do next. And can't wait to see how you screw over every fan base. can't wait to see how you do that. We appreciate the hell out of you. Ladies and gentlemen, the commissioner of the NFL.
Can I take my M&Ms?
All of them. Yeah, sure. Peanut M&Ms. Peanut M&Ms. Roger Goodell.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
What a legend.
Great.
This guy's like shaping the biggest I'm talking about you on your way out. Yeah. You don't want your peanut M&Ms, huh?
Yeah, I'm going to take them.
All right. I appreciate
Carry
you.
them around
It's
all
cold as
day.
shit up here. If you can make it warmer, I know you got control of the weather.
I'm going to press you in short sleeve shirts.
Well, I didn't pack for it, It's April.
I'll get you a shirt.
Didn't plan for this wind.
Raj Goodell. You're the man,
cheers.
Raj. Thank you, buddy. Unbelievable.
Legend.
All right. From Roger Goodell to Dan Orlovsky.
Perfect.
Be a friend, tell a friend something. That was awesome. Big shout out to the commission. Be a friend, tell a friend something nice that might change their life. We'll see you in about 3. We are in a conference room in a hotel that is the home of the annual league meeting. It is wonderful down here in Florida. Jim Harbaugh was showcasing to me why he doesn't like the hip drop tackle. He was actually wrapping his massive arms around me and then saying, this is what we're trying to get out.
Jim Harbaugh's rules, this is his business card that he gave me.
Jim Harbaugh's rules to live by. You guys are drafting Caleb Williams #1 overall.
We'll see.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Woo! You did it. When RG3 comes out, you heard him. Yeah. Okay.
I think accuracy, is the #1 trait that NFL quarterbacks need to have.
So Penix.
Ooh, okay.
I think accuracy is the number one
Okay.
trait.
Didn't say no.
Oh! Easy, K. Don't give anything up. Hey, you got a lot of leverage right now.
I'm not sure if you know this or not, but you guys are taking wide receiver in the first round, is what I'm being told, and everyone.
Hey, congratulations for doing that.
Good class for
Way
it.
to go.
Just the first round?
Whoa.
Got 11 picks.
I thought the most impressive thing about it was a lot of people had the sense that this was going to happen, and not one person uttered it. It was a completely respect-driven thing for Aaron to let him do it the way he needed to and wanted to, because he deserved that.
Obviously, I had nothing to do with the offense, but I made sure I had a conversation with Jameis every day, just for myself. It was like self-motivation.
Are you a bobcat or a deer girl?
Boom.
Okay. That's good news.
I think
got a
I'm
good
like
one.
a deer, guys.
1, 2, 3, all locked, you think?
I don't know that yet.
Who could jump up there? Who could pack it?
Caleb Williams, I agree with it, 1.
Okay.
My guess would be Jaden Daniels at 2. And 3, there has been a lot of Drake May conversation. Here's the thing. These things,
Shafty,
they just change.
Sounds like you know more than what you're leading on right now.
Do I think they'll ultimately stay and make the pick at 3? My guess would be yes.
Fucking thank God, Jesus Christ.
If it's going to cause you that much agita, I'm going to definitely see if I can find out some more stuff that will give you more heart palpitations.
Shafty!
You don't need to be a prick. I just want a quarterback so I can root for football again.
Feels like that's probably the case. Conman's got a question for you. Right?
Yeah, Shefty. Excuse me.
Oh, no.
What? I am so. So sorry.
You know what? That's okay. I don't hold it against you.
Can you kick one of those shoes up here?
There's rap sheet. I'll get your kids on there too. That's pretty sweet.
We went to Venice and they had an artist draw it on it.
In Italy?
Ladies and gentlemen, Mark Caboli.
Oh, no. Stop laughing, Gump.
Well, it's a tough chair.
It's a good chair.
Ready, 1, 2, 3, jump.
Got an ACL.
Schultz, I'm gonna be honest. I thought we were out of here, but then I see you over there.
I ruined it.
You did not ruin it. This is a good piece of juice here to get out of here.
The following program is a collection of stooges talking about happenings in the sports world. It is meant to be comedic informative. The opinions expressed on this show do not necessarily reflect the beliefs of their peers, their boss, or ESPN. There may be some cuss words because that's how humans in the real world talk. If you are young, please seek permission before watching any further.
Hey. Let's go!
This show stinks, and the fact that you listen, we are very, very thankful for. The all-time leading tackler for the Green Bay Packers, you pig! Damn it! Be a friend, tell a friend something nice could change their life.
Sport!
Hello, beautiful people. And welcome back to Detroit, Michigan, the site of the 2024 draft. On this Feel Good Friday, Hour 2 starts now. Football! The crowd was a little bit early. It sounded like A.J. Hawk there, but nonetheless, their energy was palpable because we're in the great state of Michigan. I didn't think there was going to be anybody here today because obviously the draft doesn't start for a few hours, but these wonderful people have been yelling at us all commercial break, all first hour. It is great to see you. We love the hell out of you. Happy NFL draft to all of you. The Toxic Table is here at Boston Connor, at Ty Schmidt. Conman, what did you think of the commish stepping into the Thunderdome here in Detroit and having a nice little conversation about everything?
Yeah, pretty unbelievable. I mean, start to finish, it was one of those things where you're not sure exactly if he's just going to dance around everything just based on what we have, heard and seen about Roger Goodell, about how good he is at talking without actually talking. And he sat in the pocket, answered everything, and it does feel as though, the up and to the right, sure, maybe not everything, even though everyone says it is. The NFL with that guy is up and to the right forever.
He came in whenever he became the commissioner, and allegedly, it's never been publicly stated by him that this is what he said when he walked in there, but it's always been chatted about. He walked into the owners and he said, "This is where we are, and then this is where I think will go. And then literally just right there. And then they extend him for another $180 million or whatever it is. It's like he's going to make decisions that are going to piss fan bases off. Like, that's just going to happen. He's going to make mistakes. It's going to happen. But you look around at the other leagues and the other commissioners, it's like the NFL and the owners and us, we got to be thanking our lucky charms that this man likes peanut M&Ms and makes the decisions that he does. I love that Roger Goodell guy. Thank you for – I'm pumped he joined us, Ty.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason the commish is in that position. There's a reason he's the commissioner. This is the most powerful league in the world, the most popular league in the world. Like, you can't just have some jackass like Rob Manfred in a position like that, you know? Like, you
piece of metal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You need a guy who knows what he's doing, who's forward-thinking, who can also, like, kind of, you know, shield the owners from some of the other stuff, but also at the same time, like, understand that you can't be stagnant. Like, this has to continue to grow. It's in a great position now, but, like, you're only as good as what you can do tomorrow and the next year, and he understands that. Like, there's a reason he's in that position.
Next to Ty Schmidt, he's one half of the Hammer Dahn. Hammer Dahn. That was pretty good. That was, up here in Detroit, that's not bad.
Not bad.
Not bad.
Detroit, yeah.
One half of the Hammer Dahn. Cowboys Tone Diggs Tone. Maybe Pittsburgh hosts the draft next. Is that what you were hearing? No decision's been made, it sounds like.
They are in the running, and I know Raj is a Western PA guy. He went to W&J for school, which is in Western PA. I was talking to him last night. He said he almost went to Pitt, so I know he has an affinity for
I won't hold that against him, I guess.
He didn't, though.
Yeah, he thought about it.
Made the right
Thought
decision.
about it.
Yeah, thought about it, though.
But no, like, it's easy to see why he's such a good commissioner, not just like talking to us up on stage, but when you're talking to him like behind the scenes, he's just a normal human being, which was kind of surprised me because like
he shouldn't be.
The power that he has.
The power.
Yeah,
so much power.
Power. And he deserves more power.
But he's literally like, when you talk to him like off camera, he's just a normal human being, normal dude who like you could definitely like have a drink with it. I was very impressed and surprised by that, actually.
I would like to see if he's ordering flaming margaritas like Bill Belichick ordered at dinner the other night.
Yeah. Good drink.
Right next to one half of the Hammer Dahn. Cowboys Tone Diggs is a college football national champion.
Wow.
A Super Bowl champion.
What?
A Ryder Cup winner.
What?
A father of 10.
What?
The current president of Ohio.
What?
The man with the white teeth.
What?
The man with the jawline.
What?
Ladies and gentlemen, the all-time leading tackler for the Green Bay Packers, A.J. Hawkins. I didn't even think about that. Ohio State and Green Bay.
Everybody's yelling "Go Blue" and flicking me off.
That's why you were getting them.
This is awesome. I love being here.
Yeah, it is fantastic. The draft has been awesome. Now, what the draft has become is certainly because Radio City Music Hall said sorry about it.
Yeah,
that's
they got
wild.
idiots. Like, we might still be there if they never booted the NFL.
Yeah, because I assume the NFL was coming up with plans. Do we want to do this? And then it's like almost like the universe, the football gods tell them, yep, you need to go
out
there. And now we're here in Detroit. Round 2 is tonight. There's going to be electric energy here. Saw some dreams come true last night. The draft is a full-on spectacle, AJ.
Everything is a spectacle in the NFL. I was talking to somebody the other day back in Ohio, just how the NFL Combine gets bigger ratings sometimes than the NBA Finals. Like, that's what Roger has found a way to make everything prime time. Like, everything. Think of the draft now compared to 10, 12 years ago. It's a completely different world. It used to start on Saturday at like 10 a.m., round 1. Now we have primetime Thursday night, and everything is an event. You have 275,000 people live in person in 40-degree weather. So I'd say we're on a good path.
Business is booming. CTE ESPN would say. 9-year NFL vet, ladies and gentlemen, Darius J. Butler. D-Butch, there was a little bit of a run on corners there. Okay, we got a couple. Cooper DeJean, who you said is too white to play corner numerous times. You said that.
That was Bill.
You said you don't like this flavor. We get vanilla. Is that the flavor you were talking about?
I love him.
Terry Arnold, though. He comes here to the Detroit Lions. Obviously, they have Aaron Glenn back as defensive coordinator. Offense coordinator still here. Ben, head coach still here. They're only up and to the right, it feels like. Saw him in the hotel lobby earlier. Cool dude. Great attitude. How'd you feel about the defensive backs that were drafted last night? And will this run continue a little bit here in the second round?
I liked him. He's a Detroit guy. Obviously, coach hard from Nick Saban. Obviously, Campbell has showed, he knows how to draft guys. He knows how to pick them. Interested to see, obviously, where Kool-Aid goes tonight and where Cooper DeJean. He is obviously a phenomenal athlete. athlete. I think he can play the cornerback position in the right system, but he can also be a matchup guy day one at a nickel, kind of like a Brian Branch was, and he has the ball skills to be a returner as well. Mitchell going to Philly, I think that was a position of need for them. So, yeah, I'm excited about the DBs coming off tonight.
Jared Goff was not drafted last night. No. He was on the stage alongside a bunch of superstars, and whenever you talk about like it being a spectacle, it's like it's only a matter of time before those annual meetings become. We'll probably do a prime time from the annual meetings next year.
Exactly.
That's probably what
There's
we're
already
doing.
much
Hey, dump that,
now.
Foxy.
Yeah.
Foxy, dump that.
Not for fans though. We could go down there with the owners and the
just
GMs
hang
and
out.
the coaches, and we get all the access. But I don't think fans should. No.
No, that's our show. Our show gives the access to the people.
Yeah, through the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1-1.
I don't know if the owners want.
See, that's the thing. Like Raj, if
You're
we
right.
if
He
we
doesn't
roll
care.
out and say, hey, we'd like to do like a primetime show from the annual league meetings. You got everybody down there, easy, just kind of go through. They're like, cool, and that thing will rate better than.
Oh yeah.
How about it? I thought there was a chance 32 offensive players get drafted last night.
Yeah,
Felt like we might have
14 in a row. What?
Why is that? Why now?
I don't know. I think it's just this draft class. I think it's this potential draft class.
6 quarterbacks. That plays a big part.
I was interested in that, so I way too early, obviously. Like I looked at the next year's mock draft already. That's already out there. A lot more defensive players in that one. I think it's just
how it played out.
Was it a lot last year, defense? I know
Anderson went 3, and then Witherspoon.
Carter, Witherspoon.
Yeah, they went pretty high.
The corners, it was a lot last year.
Caleb Williams, number 1 overall, is teammate now Rome Dunze, also going to the Bears. Brock Bowers ends up with the Las Vegas Raiders, quite a weapon to add to the desert. We're wondering about his dad. A lot of people are wondering about his dad.
For sure.
Didn't know if he was just boozed up on the end of the couch or if he's potentially banned from Vegas. And now, shout out at Talk Hoops.
I think he is.
Potentially not allowed back in Vegas and just found out that now he's going to have to address it head on with the whole family. Or maybe he's just running through, Brock's entire life in that moment. And he's just thinking about how big of a dream come true this is for Brock Bowers. Obviously, big stories. Other sports happened last night.
Really?
Now, obviously, in the NBA, the Pistons suck. Okay?
Worst team in the league.
Really?
And in the NHL, the Red Wings blow.
Suck! Red Wings suck!
Panthers got a big win. Shout out to Panthers.
But the NHL last night, yes, the Panthers won 3-0 over the Lightning, and then the Hurricanes won 3-0, or they're up 3-0 in the series.
Yep, 5-3.
Over Islanders over Hurricanes over the Islanders. So NHL playoffs happening, NBA playoffs happened last night. It's a beautiful thing. We got a lot of sports happening. But anytime the NFL does anything, it's going to steal the show. Now, seemingly everybody with a football brain felt one way about a decision that was made last night.
Absolutely.
When you calculate the age of the person that was drafted and the moves that the team that drafted said person just made, including $100 and some million guaranteed at the same exact position, to a team that hasn't been in the playoffs a long time or good, has a lot of needs. For them to, draft a quarterback, a lot of people said that was stupid. That seems like that doesn't make a lot of sense. Even if it does make sense, when? 2026? Okay. Where are the Falcons then? Where's the NFC South? Now, we might all be eating our words because everybody seems to feel the same way on this except for one man.
That's right.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, that one man is known here in the great city of Detroit. This man is the guru for football on ESPN.
Hell yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, the tall Dan Orlovsky.
Wow.
Dan-o!
What's up, buddy?
It's your city, Dan.
Good pop, Dan.
You know what's great is
Good pop.
I don't think those responses were the same when I played. So
It's okay.
What's up, bud?
Take
I'm
your
coming
flowers
over.
now.
I'm
Take your
coming over.
flowers now. Dan, you're really tall. I forgot how tall you are.
I am.
Your shooting guard.
Very thin. You don't eat those. We know you don't eat those.
Okay, Dan.
Only the brown ones, of course.
Dan, what's up? How are you? Good to see you.
What happened?
I was just saying, Dan was just never.
Ladies and gentlemen, this man played football here.
Look at that. Good heat.
Yes, he did.
Good evening, brother.
How about that orange sign right there?
Yeah, I did see it. Yep, it's made its way on the air.
That's unreal.
We don't need it. Don't need it. Thank you. Obviously, I don't think it's true. Dan, we've only seen, I think, one play of you playing for the Detroit Lions.
You look great.
You look good.
Can you shut up for a second?
We've only got to see one play. Basically on repeat on the internet every day. every night.
Was it a touchdown?
No, that was a scoring play.
Has to do with the end zone.
Yeah.
It happened.
But you played here a lot. You played a lot of ball here in Detroit. You have a lot of history in Detroit, right? Is that not an accurate assessment?
I was here for 7 years.
Long time.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
He won UConn's first bowl game ever here.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, Motor City Bowl.
Yeah.
Okay.
Played against Toledo, Bruce Gradkowski.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Good team.
Yeah.
So, Dan, you got a lot of history in the great city of Detroit.
I love Detroit. I love Detroit.
There we go.
I absolutely love Detroit.
Really?
They love you, too.
It's a great town.
Okay.
Dano.
Dano. Big Dan.
No. Sorry. We'll do that next.
I've always loved Detroit, man.
Look, they love you.
Yeah. They're great.
Big
These fans
Danny.
needed a winner.
Big Danny. Big Danny. Big Danny.
Okay, so
Lombo's great.
Big Danny was the nickname that Michael Lombardi gave you in the first hour here today. He's obviously
I heard he didn't
disgusted.
have so many great.
Yeah, he's disgusted.
No one's a bigger fan of me than his.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed. That's how they look at it. Your haters are your biggest admirers or whatever. But nonetheless, you came out and defended the Atlanta Falcons pick of Michael Penix more so than anybody else that had access to a microphone.
Yeah.
Michael Lombardi obviously would go on to cook you, but he also has feelings about Atlanta because good friend of his, Bill Belichick, with not being top 3. There's a lot cooking into this entire situation. You came out on the defense of the pick. You're the only human that I've encountered that feels that way. Why is that? And are you just doing this to be an asshole on television?
That's a good question.
I'll answer the second. I'm not doing it to be the one, the only one. No.
Oh, okay. That's good to hear.
Hey, there we go.
All right, so a little bit is when Green Bay took Jordan, I was a supporter of that. So because I philosophically believe in that. When the Green Bay model, when the pick happened last night, I was perplexed. I was like, what? And I was trying to make sense of it. And initially, because in the moment, adrenaline, it made no sense to me. Go to bed, think about it a little bit more, wake up. I send out a text to somebody with the emoji eyes like this, like what? And they responded back to me saying, go ahead, ask the question. So I asked, and the way it was expressed to me, and I thought about it a little bit before and after hearing the conversation or the explanation. Number one, they had Michael Penix as the number 2 ranked quarterback in this draft, neck and neck with Jaden Daniels. Top 5 on their draft when it comes to player, okay? So they really like the player. Number 2, they think that they're a better football team than 7-10 with Kirk Cousins. They believe that they're a team that's going to contend for the playoffs, be in the playoffs, so they're going to be picking late. And that first-round pick is not going to be enough for them to get up. They experienced that in this draft. All the teams that were trying to get up ahead of them, no one was budging, even with the picks. It wasn't enough to get up. Number 3, they went out for a private workout with Michael Penix, and it was 50 degrees, it was windy out, and everybody that was there walked away saying it felt like they were throwing or watching a workout that was indoors. The ball just jumped off his hands. And they said people that were around Stafford said that they had not seen somebody throw a football like that since Matthew Stafford, or that was the closest to throwing a ball like Matthew Stafford. So they loved the player. And also, you're not making that pick unless the owner goes, I want that pick.
Didn't look like it.
But you're not doing it. There's no way that Terry Fontenot, the general manager, makes that pick and says, oh, Arthur Blank, by the way, this is what we did.
Dan, everything you're saying is fine and dandy, okay? It is. But whenever you say you like the Jordan Love thing, that Packers team was in the NFC Championship the year before that. So they had success.
Right.
This Atlanta team is not. You said they think they're better than 7-10. Okay. They haven't been in the playoffs in forever. And you listen to Michael Lombardi drop stats. He's like, this guy's got 21 wins in 3 seasons. All of a sudden they're able to waste picks at 8 to not make their team better, but to get at a position that they just paid over $100 million to a guy to start. It just doesn't seem like a set.
But what happens? I get that, but
is this 2 years, 3 years? What's the plan?
I don't know. I just know this. Atlanta doesn't really have to have a high level of concern, if at all, till 2030 for a quarterback, and that's rare in the NFL.
Kirk gets hurt too with all the backup quarterbacks that happen.
And also, I think the couple things. I've never built a team. But
you did listen. You heard.
No, I had text message here. But okay, you got Michael Penix ranked as, if your organization, you rank Michael Penix as the second best quarterback, top 4 player, and maybe you don't have another player specifically on the defensive side that's in your top 20 in the draft. So everyone's going, well, trade back. Well, what happens if there's no trade up partner? Or what happens if there's no equal trade value? You're not just giving away the 8th selection. And if you value the player that much, and then also this, Morris. Raheem Morris was with the Rams for a while. They're notorious for trading away their first-round pick because it's not going to be worth anything because they're going to win a bunch of games. Terry Fontenot was with the New Orleans Saints when they didn't have a plan for quarterback after Drew Brees, and they mired in trying to figure it out. Arthur Blank has been trying to replace Matt Ryan since he left. So, there's a lot of people attached to the organization that have been in the quarterback, what are we going to do, purgatory for a while. And so, I understand both elements of it. I do, but I completely understand and agree with why Atlanta did it.
Got it. Connor has a question. I mean, if they suck.
Oh, man.
What if Kirk struggles, though? Are we going to be calling for Penix?
$130 million?
Probably.
Do you create another issue then? I guess then the GM saying, oh, well, we're bad anyway. That's why we need this guy.
Yeah, I think you're also living in the world of what if Kirk sucks? Kirk hasn't sucked in
I'm
ever.
not saying he sucks. Let's say he has a couple, 3 or 4 games where they're losing.
Which Kirk
has.
You
know how people want to do that. Hey, pull him when there's a young guy behind him. Hey, pull him. Put this guy in.
Yeah, I don't think you pull the trigger. I mean, there's a long leash for Kirk Cousins. I don't think you pull the trigger quickly. But if it gets to a point where, all of a sudden Kirk Cousins can't play anymore, you're not in a bad situation.
You look like a genius then.
He's 24, though, too.
I get it. He's 24, but, so was the second pick of the draft.
Yeah, but he's going
to
start
right. I understand. Like I said,
he doesn't have $100 million.
Did they pay
quarterback.
Mariota $100 million?
No, I don't think so.
I think it was $1 million.
Okay.
Okay. And how about Darnold? Because it's like $10 million.
Yeah, up to.
Jacoby up there in New England?
Up
piece.
to 8.
$8 million. That's a lot. $8 million is good money. Good for him. $180 million contract to a quarterback just 2 months ago. But it is a wild move. Excited to see how it works out because maybe Dano and the Falcons organization will be right.
Yeah.
Or maybe everybody else will be.
Yeah,
I don't know. Connor's got a question for you, Dano.
Yeah, Dan, obviously I was the only one not to shake your hand because I stand on business for Michael Lombardi. Obviously. Excuse me. One team that we all thought was very, very come on. That's very quarterback needy was the Raiders. They kind of missed out. Are you surprised that they didn't make a move? Or are you surprised that once the draft board didn't fall to them where they could take a quarterback that they didn't? Or do you
there was no quarterback left.
Yeah, so do you think rolling with Gardner Minshew,
that's their only option, that's their only choice. I do think that the Raiders tried to get up. My guess is they only really tried to get up for Jaden Daniels. I don't know how aggressive they were for a Drake May or a JJ, but it's where their situation just kind of fell at 13. Gardner will be fine. They'll win some games with Gardner. I don't think that they're in the Gardner's our future situation, though, no.
2-year deal, not as much money, $14 million, a good bridge for 2 years. Do you think Aiden O'Connell has a chance at all? Or
I think Gardner is a better player than Aiden O'Connell, and my guess is that the Raiders will be very active next year trying to figure out the quarterback situation.
Ty has a question for you, Dano.
What about Bo Nix? We had Sean Payton on the Draft Spectacular last night, and he was just lauding Bo Nix. Basically, the second coming of Drew Brees is basically what he made it sound like.
He talked for probably 45 minutes.
Yeah, straight about all his stats, about how,
Did you see this, Dan?
Yeah.
Sean talked.
Your guys' show was great.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Was something.
Yours too.
He was mad at us for not getting him on the screen fast enough because he was missing.
I wasn't
picks.
on.
Oh.
Shit.
We thought we saw you on the
I saw you react.
We saw you
with me after 8. We saw that.
Yeah, we saw you on TV. But anyways, you saw it.
Yeah, so he obviously high praise for Bo Nix, and I think leading up to the draft, it kind of became like a foregone conclusion, hey, Bo Nix is going to be a first rounder, but I think a lot of people still were
superior in ball placement and lightning quick processing. And I think those are the two traits that Sean Payton really wants in a quarterback. There was the notion that, Bo Nix was this just catch and throw, everything behind the line of scrimmage guy. There were elements of that sometimes, but he was a way more efficient and really accurate thrower down the field than I think the nation had the perspective of. Also, and I'd been saying this, everyone thinks of Bo Nix and they think of the 18-year-old from 5 years ago at Auburn that was hey, run around and just launch a ball over your head. And he didn't do that much at Oregon. He was way more developed, way more advanced. He had grown so much. He became a much consistent pocket passing quarterback, and he had a ton of control at the line of scrimmage. So I'm not a big fit person, but this was the place that just made a ton of sense when it came to player and the style of offense that the coach wants to run.
Denver was linked to Bo for the last few weeks coming into the draft, and Sean said he liked him, and Sean said they took a visit with him as soon as they got in the car after talking to him. They were actually wondering, is everybody going to see what we just saw? Like, that's our guy. Yeah. So they're pumped. They're jacked.
Yeah, they got to get some more talent around him. Really, like
$85 million they can't use, though.
Yeah, but you've now got a guy for a 4-year window that you can kind of build on.
Atlanta was like $85 million. Oh, we'll do $130 million.
Yeah, hold on.
We won't use it. We won't use it.
We don't care.
We got a whole new quarterback coming in. D-But's got a question for UConn, by the way. Congrats to both of you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Appreciate that. Good time to be
What's up, guy?
What's happening, man? So AJ's favorite pick, Malik Neighbors, at the top of the draft. But was kind of surprised. I know I was, at least, that they stuck with Daniel Jones going forward. What's your thoughts on Daniel Jones and obviously adding Neighbors? And what would be the plan if you were there to get Daniel Jones to be playing some winning football?
Yeah, so Neighbors has got to get 10 touches a game. I think no one in the NFL has less explosive plays since Daniel Jones came into the NFL than Daniel Jones. Malik Neighbors has created the most explosive plays in college football since Jamar Chase left. No one's got more. So, that obviously fixes that issue. Here's my thing with the Giants. Okay, Daniel Jones has thrown for over 15 touchdowns once in his career. Let's say that he plays
this guy stinks.
Above average this year for him, and he throws for 20 touchdowns and 3,500 yards. Next year, then, you're faced, if you're the Giants, going, okay, are we going to pay Daniel $42 million, or do we have to figure out our quarterback situation then? Are you going to pay $42 million for, average quarterback play? I think it's going to be their situation. I don't know if there's a room in the NFC, quarterback-wise, that I'm less confident in.
Oh, no.
Less confident, hope and just because he's missed 18 games in 3 years. Again, the play hasn't really elevated. So I do think Neighbors helps, but Neighbors is going to have to be great for Daniel to be good.
Bruce, the Giants are dead, Paul.
Come on, Bruce.
What quarterback room are you less confident in the NFC?
Oh, I mean, still a lot of questions, obviously.
For
Carolina.
Okay, Carolina, but you're hopeful because
Atlanta
you're unknown.
Saints. I mean,
Atlanta, you can throw up there now.
But yeah, Daniel Jones has stunk the last couple years. So.
Did you see how cool Penix looked last night?
Really cool.
The shades.
Yeah. Did you watch the quarterback documentary on Netflix?
No, the NFL one, or I didn't know there was a college one.
The Peyton Manning one. The what?
The season one.
Yeah,
sure.
with Kirk. Penix and Kirk Cousins are about to be the greatest little tag team.
What was did you see the meme going around last night?
Yeah.
They were like, it was Dennis Quaid and Jamie Foxx.
Any given Sunday?
Yeah, it was really good.
So you didn't cover the draft last night?
What the hell's that about?
Sworn I saw you.
We are certain. That's why we didn't have you on.
No.
We would have had you on.
No.
Would
have been on the panel.
Yeah, you would have been next to Bill.
Bill Belichick went out of his way to go
me and Coach Belichick?
live set to say hi to Dano.
Yeah.
What happened?
Bill Belichick, after the Goodell interview, went onto the ESPN live set just to say hi to Dano.
Yeah, is that the?
He was great. He was great. He came and said hi. So was Goodell. I'd never really spent time talking with them. They were cool.
Did they know who you were? They said, "Oh my God,
I hope so."
Guy on TV.
It's the authority.
I hope so.
It's the authority.
Quarterback.
Oh, this guy's got all the answers. Here's the guy. Dan, we appreciate you. What do you have today? NFL Live?
I got NFL Live 2 to 4, and then Sports Center, and then go home.
All right. Well, safe travels. This is your home. Remember.
That's right. Don't you forget it.
Look how good these people are, man.
Sound like they're dogs. Ladies and gentlemen.
Good sign back there. Beat the
All right, Dan.
Dan, we'll see you. Zoom in on that Plum High Esports.
What's Plum High Esports?
See you, Dan.
Get out of here, Boston
Dan.
Connor.
All right, Dan.
See you later, Dan.
All right, Dan.
See you, Dan.
Dan, did you tap up Connor?
No, I'm going to.
Connor's looking for
Maybe
you.
next time.
Great work, man.
Connor
Maybe next
needs
time.
you.
Later, buddy.
Plum High
See you, Dan.
Esports are greater than the Packers.
Why do you guys have the peanut M&Ms? Get out of here,
Roger
buddy.
Goodell.
Roger loves them, Dan.
Dan, stop being weird with the peanut M&Ms.
Just take a big handful. Put
He
them in
literally
your
is
pocket.
taking only the brown
You
ones.
can put them in your pocket. You psychopath.
You're a weirdo, dude. You're a
Only the
weirdo.
brown ones.
They all taste the same. Dan.
Yes, they do.
No, Jesus only ate the brown ones too.
What?
He did. Yeah, I think I read that.
Yeah.
They had M&M's
Is
in
that why?
Jerusalem. They had M&M's in Jerusalem.
Is that why
That's
you
real.
only eat the brown peanut M&Ms?
I only eat the brown peanut M&Ms for my son.
For your son?
Because of my son, yeah.
Okay, so he said, I like the brown peanut M&Ms the most. Eat
This
these
is
in
where
my
you're going to
honor.
feel like an idiot.
Oh, no. No,
No,
don't do it. Don't do that.
You owe me. You owe me.
You're a good man.
No.
Wow, Dan's a good man.
Love you, Dan. That's the biz. That's why you invest the biz, Dan.
I got it.
Oh, God, you look good today. I just left the funeral. Jesus.
Shit. I love the all black.
Okay, Dano, there's a couple brown M&Ms left if you'd like to take them on your way out of
I
here.
can get them out there for
It would
you.
be our dream if that was the case.
Goodell's got a whole nother one, so if you see him, snap one out of
How about he's fit?
Oh, yeah, very.
You remember he ran the 40, a couple years back?
4.48?
4.4, yeah.
Dan, what would you run what was your 40 time coming out, Dan? I saw you get away from Jared.
Dan's 9 feet tall.
I ran 5 flat.
5 flat. How tall are you?
6'5".
6'5".
Damn.
The vertical is like versus the 40. My vertical is 27.
Okay. But you got a jumper, though.
Yeah, I don't have to jump that high.
Okay. Oh, no.
Yeah.
He knows.
What he said?
He knows.
Well, the guy,
Be original.
Real original.
got you with a safety joke.
Real original. Yeah.
Dan, we love you, buddy. Thank you, Dan. Dan Orlowski.
Hell yeah.
Love you, Dano.
That boy Dan.
I think we're about 10 minutes out from Reggie Bush joining us on this glorious Feel Good Friday to chit-chat about him getting his Heisman back. How you doing out here? Yep.
All people.
Yeah, so I think this is probably I would assume the reason why this is happening is because, they come over here early. There's literally nothing else to do.
Yeah. I mean,
So then they come see the greatest jawline in sports.
Oh, yeah. I see you, buddy.
See a lot of people
see
double
that
fist
Ravens
ice
jersey.
cold beer.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Good signs out there.
Just like if you're at a game, there's vendors walking around with ice cold beer.
That's fantastic news. There's been a lot of good signs. There was a Beat the D.
Yeah,
I mean,
saw that.
Plum High Esports greater than Ohio State is just top tier.
Yeah, there's the Beat the D.
It's not true, but
The Plum High Esports team is on their way back. Thank you.
No.
Are they still in the
Sure,
basement?
sure.
Be
They're
honest.
still 9th out of 9?
I don't know.
They stink. Let's be honest.
They're acknowledging their tribal chief down here. We appreciate that. Okay, let's talk about some situations that are brewing around the NFL. We talked about it a little bit earlier. The wide receiver room for the San Francisco 49ers is now a full conversation. Not only because Ricky Pearsall or whatever gets drafted over there, but because Brandon Ayuk potentially getting traded if he doesn't get a new deal. And then Michael Lombardi last week was like, maybe it's not Ayuk now. Maybe Ayuk gets a deal done. Maybe it's Debo getting traded out of town. It's like, whoa. So John Lynch and Shanahan were asked about this at a press conference, and they leave everything kind of on the table. Roll it, Foxy.
Reports today on potential trades for Debo Samuel or Brandon Ayuk. Are those true? Is that still in play? And does this pick indicate anything?
Yeah. Why is always us? But I don't know. I know that we're continuing to have positive talks with BA, and we are really efforting to get something done with him, and we're excited about continuing down that path. And Brandon being a part of this team, Debo is a part of this team and a big part of this team. So, like I said, we feel great about that group, and we feel like we just made it better with another really good addition to it who complements the group real well.
The door on a trade?
Never close the door on a trade. I mean, we.
We'll
always listen, and we have. And
I don't care.
But we like our group as it stands.
Jeez.
It would have taken something in the first round for you guys to consider trading Brandon, and now the first round is over. That's unlikely that you would move.
Yeah, I thought it was unlikely going into it, but that doesn't mean that it can't happen. You listen to everything. Everything's about trying to improve our team as much as we can for 2024 without jeopardizing 25 as much as possible. So that's everything you look into, and whenever that opportunity comes, whichever way, if you can improve your team, you do that. Sometimes it's hard to picture proving your team, though, without them.
It's fascinating because this conversation seems to happen for the Niners a lot about the plethora of weapons that they have, and that's why they beat a team like the Detroit Lions in the NFC Championship.
That's right. Exactly. That's right. Yep. That's right. Losers.
Or Just kick the field goal, Pat.
Yeah.
Just kick the field goal.
A bad idea.
Go for it.
A lot of decisions made by Dan Campbell that have got them to this point.
That's right. True.
As those two were chatting on the screen, this crowd could care less.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
they were
Wow.
talking. They were like, these two hate each other. It's obvious. It's like, well, they've won so much, but they haven't won it all. AJ, that's the conversation about this Niners team, and now they're going to have to deal. It seems like yet again, but they'll be back as a juggernaut. Are they going to? They have to.
They have to.
This team has to, right?
We talk about windows, right? You always say, oh, whose window is open? The Niners' window is closing just because of, I feel like, the money thing. How you cannot continue to keep all these guys getting paid top money for their position, I feel like.
Brock Purdy.
Yep.
Yeah. Very cheap right now.
Yeah.
But we're 2 years out.
So that's how you build your team, but then once you pay Brock, you're going to have to let go of some people. So.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he meant when he said we can't jeopardize the team in 2025. Like, he was directly alluding to the Brock Purdy thing. So, like, they are kind of
They should have had one by now. In their mind, they're thinking, hey, we should at least have one ring by now with Brock as our quarterback on a rookie deal.
Potentially two.
Well, yeah,
seriously.
And
Not
not even Brock, the Jimmy G one, where they were, a 3-yard overthrow away from a potential Super Bowl there.
Remember that 3-yard over with what Jimmy did that entire run?
Yeah.
He misses that deep ball.
Yep.
They don't win. And all of a sudden it's like, how do we get Jimmy the hell out of
Jimmy
here?
G
And
sucks.
Tom Brady getting traded in here. And it's like that team has still won every single year. And now they got their quarterback at a very cheap contract. Going to have to figure it out. It's
After
not easy,
making
though.
one of the worst draft trades ever.
Yeah, maybe the
For Buck here
You're
to,
right.
number 3. And then, Trey Lance basically, obviously never plays the season. You trade him. So they have built a great roster. Yeah, they got to be very, very disappointed right now.
And Detroit Lions are a great football team.
Sure.
But in the NFC side, they're in the Niners era right now, and the Niners were the Achilles heel to the Packers there for a bit.
Yep.
They obviously got the Lions
Still
this
are.
year. They are loaded. But when you're loaded, there's a lot of money around. And now can they continue to do salary cap gymnastics as they move forward? We shall see. Now, last night we got a chance to do the entire draft alongside Bill Belichick.
Awesome. Yep.
And I know you said a couple things during it about how, this is familiar, how he's breaking down the film. Ex-Patriots online were tweeting about what the world was experiencing. Here's James White. Obviously, everybody remembers him out of the backfield. This is what a Bill team meeting is like. Only makes you better, though, because every one of these quarterbacks that got drafted high, he ran 2.5, 3 minutes of film.
Yep.
And half of it was, this shit ain't going to work. This is not how this is going to go. For me, I enjoyed watching it because I think he was putting a realistic expectation for fans of teams. Like, hey, everybody talks about this guy has to develop for a year. He's got to get better. He's got to get better. Well, what's he got to get better at? For Drake May, he zoomed in. This dude's feet need to get figured out. This is what he needs to figure out. The reckless plays. Now, a lot of college guys are doing that. Okay, but that was a big piece of his negatives were like, take the check down here. But in college, a lot of these guys, best players on the field, are like, if I wait a little bit longer, we might be able to get a 45-yarder as opposed to a 7-yarder. Some reckless throws, but he was picking apart. Diva, did it feel like you were in the middle of a meeting like Devin McCourty said?
And that was nice. That was a lot nicer than what goes on in the meetings, those Monday morning low lights. And it doesn't matter how much you win by, how much you lose. You can win a game, 31-10. At some point your bad play is going to show up. You don't see that. You don't see that a lot in the NFL meeting rooms, especially when it comes to star players. And something he told us was like, hey, if Brady let me chew his ass, everybody else is kind of going to fall in line.
John.
They're saying, you said he chews his ass.
He's chewing him out, but like you said,
chewing him up and down.
If you can do it with your best players, everybody else is going to fall in line. You saw Bad Moon Rising. Andre Rising popped up in the lobby, told us some stories about Bill. So that's why you love him. You appreciate him after the fact as a player. And you don't see that anywhere else with drafts. Somebody gets drafted, top 5 pick. Hey, this is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Show all the good things, all the highlights. So to be critical somewhat, and obviously when it's coming from the GOAT, you got to be accept. Accept that.
It kind of sounds like you have some experience. Did he do any of your plays when you were playing, or was that just?
Did you make any history?
So
for
any
Bill
time
Belichick?
So my first game, Monday Night Football, first game ever, first NFL game, Bills. Patriots. This was, T.O., Roscoe Pierce, Fred Jackson.
They stunk.
Weapons. No, they were a good team.
Well, not as good as the
They had
Patriots,
some weapons. But it comes down to the last possession. Last play of the game is one of those, hey, throw it. tight end catch it, tosses it back to Roscoe, tosses it back to T.O.
Annexation of Puerto Rico.
And I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off, $170, soaking wet. I'm in there playing and just bouncing off these guys left and right, getting shook. So once again, we win the game. So I'm like, oh, shit, we good. You know, so he goes through all the plays, and obviously my play is the last one we get to. And he said, hey, I've been in the NFL coaching for 38 years, and I have never seen one player miss 5 tackles on one play. And so he ran the play, and it obviously got a good pop out of the room, and I had to tackle Ben Jarvis Green Ellis live for 4 or 5 weeks after practice. So, yeah, that's Bill, though. That's why we love him.
That's why we love him. Yeah, absolutely. He told the story last night, and as you were telling the story, he was like, oh, yeah. And then he said 5 yeah, I do remember that whole thing. The room's laughing, though, in your face at that moment.
Oh, yeah, like I probably said something dumb, too, like, hey, I'm hustling. You know, that's all. Missed 5 tackles. That's pretty impressive. You missed 5 on one play. But, yeah, you know the room, let it eat.
Ladies and gentlemen, joining us now is a Heisman winner.
Yep.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Reggie Bush.
Yeah. Former Lion.
Yeah,
a lot of love.
Yeah. Hey, a lot of love up here in Detroit for you.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Hopefully they still rocking the 21.
Yeah.
Hey, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, feel the love from New Orleans up to Detroit. Obviously, massive move. You were an electrifying football player from literally the first time I watched you to the last time I saw. I mean, you were a game changer. Let's talk about the news right now. Yes, they're chanting you deserve it. We all agree. Everybody with sound mind knows that you were the best football player in college football in 2005. How did we get to this point? Did you ever lose hope that maybe it was never going to happen? And when you finally get told that it's taken place, what are the feelings? More than you expected? Less than you expected? Where are you at in the whole thing?
Well, when I first got the news, I was excited, obviously, because this was a fight that we've been fighting for a very long time. And, I'm happy that the Heisman Trust, made the right decision, did the right thing, got the trophy back. And obviously, like I said, I was excited when I got the news, but I've always felt like I was going to get the Heisman Trophy back, always. I just didn't know how long it was going to take. And it didn't matter to me how long it took as well. I was going to fight until it could have been another 20 years. I was going to continue to fight for it. So I'm just happy that it happened now.
Yeah, hell yeah. And it's a prestigious group, obviously, that you have earned your way into. As this is all taking place, a lot of your highlights are resurfacing. You watch it. You have to, right? We're watching those. Yeah. We're reminding ourselves of what we used to do to dudes. It was every week, every game, electricity. I'm sure going through the old highlights, has there been nostalgia? Have you got out and started running to see if you still got it? What's it been like?
Anytime I get a chance to watch my old highlights, usually with my kids love to bring up my highlights, and that to me is the best part, is when my kids want to watch it.
Beautiful block.
That was an amazing block right there, too, by Fred Matua. But, it's mostly with my kids, man, when I get a chance to watch my highlights, because they love bringing them up, and that's a very full circle moment for me. Any chance I get a chance, to do that with my kids and just show them, the things that Daddy did on the football field. And they can take that to school, and be proud of that, and, however else they see it.
Well, Reggie, I was at school at the same time you were, and I had Pat White and Steve Slayton on my team. Yep. And I watched them do electrifying things. And then we watched primetime games, and you were on, and it was just electric. That era of college football.
Golden age.
So good.
Yes,
and you were a massive piece of it. Happy you got your Heisman back. D-Buck got a question for you, Reggie.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you once again for those highlights. It was you and Peter Ward, P-Dub, when it came to highlights for me. Yeah. But who was it? Who did you watch and kind of model your game after? We had Barry on the set. I'm going to assume Barry Sanders was one of those guys, being the way that he played and how you played. But who was that guy or those guys that you modeled after? And then the second question, how's the golf game right now? See you grinding. I need to know the handicap. I need to know the strengths and weaknesses right now, just in case we have to cross paths.
Smart.
Let me answer your first question, man. Barry Sanders, Deion Sanders, those were the two guys, man, that I idolized, that I patterned my game after. But it was really Barry, man, because when you watch Barry, it didn't matter how close you were to him, right? It felt like you couldn't touch him, you couldn't get a hand on him, and it almost looked like magic, right?
Yeah.
And that was the thing that I wanted to pattern myself after, that I saw from Barry, was just the way that he played the game, the charisma that he had, the heart that he played with, but it was also just the ability to look like a magician on the football field. And that's something that nobody can take away from you. I don't care who it is, NCAA, whatever, nobody.
You just said 4 letters there. They're so dumb. I couldn't even imagine how you feel about it. And obviously it's not their decision for that, even though they banned you, I think, for 10 years from USC. Yep. I assume with this Heisman and getting back around campus and Lincoln Riley, we're going to have some sort of celebration. Has that been fun, too, to kind of get the flowers from the school that loves you that you haven't been able to for some time?
Absolutely. USC has always been my school. Has always been in my heart. And I can't wait to get back there and celebrate.
Man, that Heisman celebration for the second time. You already did one.
Make it bigger.
You already did one. You got your second wedding. You already learned.
It's unreal.
You already learned from it. Last question here, Connor, for you, Reggie.
Yeah, Reggie, obviously we're at the NFL draft, and, no running backs in the first round. And, I think Sean Payton told a story a couple years ago to us about how stunned he was that he fell to you guys. And, that was a pick maybe. Is it weird watching that? And do you feel like that might be a trend going forward with these running backs?
Well, I hope to see the running back market get back up to where I think it needs to be, because running backs take a beating every time they step out on that football field. They're the workhorses of the teams. I still believe that there is a space for running backs, and running the football is going to get back into our game. I know it's a passing league right now, but, again, when I got drafted to New Orleans Saints, man, that was just a magical time. It was a few months after Hurricane Katrina. And, it was amazing to be able to go down there and just right away start to get into the communities, start to develop relationships with the people down there, and then ultimately bring a Super Bowl down to New Orleans.
Yeah, we get it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I had to punt against you. I tell this story to my friends about how I grew up in the Reggie Bush era, so all I've seen is highlights, and then you get to the Super Bowl, and it's who are you punting the ball to? Oh, the guy. You're punting to the meme. You're punting it to the GIF out there. So much respect by everybody that ever played against you.
Yeah.
AJ has a question for you, Reggie.
Reg, Caleb Williams obviously goes #1 overall from USC. How do you think his pro career goes, and what do you make of everything, all the hoopla around this guy? We've known for 2 years.
A lot of hoopla.
People love with all this time to break everything down and try to find things wrong with players. How do you think he's going to do in Chicago? Obviously, it looks like they had a good draft already.
I think he's going to do good. I think he's going to do great. He has good weapons down there already, and I think the thing that I saw from Caleb Williams that really excites me the most, that right away transitions to the NFL, is just his ability to be able to extend the plays, right? And those are things that you see with the greatest quarterbacks right now at the top level. Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. It's that ability to be able to extend plays and give your receivers a little bit more time to get open down the football field. And I think, in this league where football is right now, especially where the quarterback position it is right now, his game to me translates right away more than if he was just a pocket passer.
Hey, as we pivot back to you, do you have the Heisman back already? Did they overnight that?
Man, that's right there, big dog. What you mean?
Hey, that's awesome, man.
Yes, sir.
Reggie Chance in Detroit. Support.
My people down there.
Support from all around the football world. The right thing ended up happening again with you getting your trophy back. Congratulations. Have a great weekend, Reg. Thank you for making time.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Pat. Appreciate you guys.
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, Reggie Bush.
Yeah.
He was so good at football.
Ridiculous.
So good.
So good at football. It was dumb. You'd watch those games, and they were prime time every time. Yep. Will Ferrell was showing up at their practices.
Yep.
Pete Carroll had the place upside down, and it's like that guy was striding on folks. And then they had Lendale
White.
who was a little thunder in the entire thing, and let alone Matt Leinart, who had just such a pretty stroke.
Oh, my God.
You know, such a pretty left-handed stroke. He was allegedly dating every superstar.
Yeah.
They were the Hollywoods. They were the
Did
idiot.
Heisman back to back? Wasn't it Leinart, Reggie Heisman's? Back to back?
Yeah.
Then to Bo.
And they were like the biggest celebrities
Yeah,
in
they were
Hollywood.
an NFL team.
Oh, no, that's what
in LA.
USC wants to get back to. USC needs Snoop on the sideline.
That's what they're selling,
They need
right?
Johnny
Yeah.
Knoxville catching punts in practice, getting annihilated, if you remember that back in the day, too.
Yeah, and
He brought all
Poopies would do that right
Oh,
now.
Poopies is engaged. Congrats to Poopies on his engagement. I'd like to say that.
He's
She's very
engaged?
happy. She's very happy.
Reggie was one of those dudes.
Congratulations.
You had to go back and watch his
Had to do
high school highlights, too. That
Oh,
was
my
before,
goodness,
YouTube was as big as it was. But, like, Reggie, I remember watching, like, Sean Taylor's, like, high school highlights. Those dudes, like, different cats.
How do we feel, though, about, like, the Heisman Committee, seemingly a group of doofuses?
Yep.
Like, that's what I would assume. Probably not right, because the people I saw in the video were like Ricky Williams is in there.
Yeah.
We all are big fans of them. If they're the Heisman Committee, I take back what I just said. But with that, a lot of those people that are in those positions in those committees, and they make a lot of bad decisions.
Sure.
Like, they do a lot of dumb things. We've seen it a lot across the board. So for them to actually make it right, I know it's late in a lot of people's eyes, but it's better than never. So, I'm happy Reggie's getting his chance to kind of take his parade and regain his rightful spot in that. It's a bunch of bullshit, but like, I'm happy it got settled. You know what I mean, Ty? That's how I feel about it.
No, for sure. And then, I mean, to your point, if you look up the Heisman Trust board, this is the kind of decision we'd assume that this group of people would be making, just like guys who are totally separated from reality. But again, maybe that's all it takes is a guy like Johnny DeManziel to be like, hey, this is bullshit, you know? And it's
The
not
voice
like,
of reason.
Yeah, right. And
Truly.
it's not like he's like the poster boy for the Heisman, but you know, when you have former winners starting to say, like, hey, we're not going to show up in New York for the Heisman ceremony. We're not going to be standing on the stage when you give out the Heisman the next year if you don't reinstate this for Reggie. Like, you know, that good on them for actually kind of caving into the public pressure a little bit. Being like, yeah, this is bullshit. Let's give it back to them.
They didn't have to. Remember, these people are stubborn, these things.
They talk to each other.
Yeah, they do. They like to gossip.
They mingle.
And you're going to bow down. That's what they say to each other.
The
And they
integrity of college football.
Yeah, they stick by
how much the landscape has changed in college football with the NIL and you know, Caleb and these guys making millions of dollars and then coming in now. I feel like at some point soon they had to change. But to your point, I am glad it happened sooner. He's not 70 years old. You know, he got his Heisman. Looking forward to him getting him Heisman House.
Oh, yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
Hopefully Cam get in there too.
Well, hopefully Tim Tebow and
I saw Cam this morning in the elevator.
Cam
That guy
Newton? He's
is
gigantic. Yeah.
The biggest dude I've ever seen in my life.
He was doing interviews last night.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
interviewing these dudes like this.
He wasn't even wearing shoes. He was just wearing socks, and I still was like, "This is the biggest guy I've ever."
Yeah, that's why as soon as he got into the NFL, like if you saw him,
wasn't fair.
It was like if this guy figures out football, like NFL football,
unbelievable.
we're all screwed. And he did.
He did.
And
He did. A long time.
He did figure it out.
Till that shoulder injury, like he had it figured out.
And I think Cam knows this now, hopefully, at this stage. We all saw the exact moment when the throw just got different.
Yeah.
And it sucks that happened. It really does. But, boy, the run that when Cam was running the league, that was an awesome time.
Him coming out of the draft, they said, like, hey, like this guy can't throw. And then I think it was game one against Cardinals, if my memory serves correct.
I was
he threw
there.
for 400.
Yeah.
400. I think the first two games he might have threw 400. But, yeah, 400.
Jeez.
Steve Smith may have went off for like 200. And Pat P took a 96-yarder.
Pat P's so good.
Punt return back on the
Hey, that's going to
Cam
happen.
special.
Yeah, that's going to happen
Cam
sometimes.
special.
But, like, the showmanship, too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, remember his
city.
celebration?
Oh, the Superman
Yes. They
stuff.
were 7 minutes long.
Yeah,
Graham Gano. Graham Gano is kicking an extra point, and this dude is just finishing his hot lap.
Yep.
He's on the field on the other side doing one of these to an entire – Graham Gano's kicking on the other side of the field, and it's like – the opposing team and everybody else like, that's pretty cool. That should be a personal. Nobody's like, this is the Cam Newton show we are currently witnessing right now. Superman shit was playing through the stadium.
Could have a Super Bowl if it wasn't for one of the best defenses of all time. The Broncos. They did it to him that game. But like Cam, I don't think because
look at this dude. He's a defensive end. He's an edge rusher.
This game was ridiculous. He did this maybe 5 times on third down against the Patriots this year.
Yeah, good for Cam. I'm happy to see him doing shit. Who was he with? The NFL Network there?
I
don't know.
believe so. I'm actually surprised. He was standing next to Caleb Williams, and if I was Caleb, I'd be like, I'm not doing an interview.
No way.
This guy's fucking. He's 6 inches taller than me. I'm not doing this. He makes me look like I'm 5'10".
And that's like one of those situations where you don't want to put somebody in a bad spot,
right?
Because you can be. Cam Newton standing at that red carpet. He was bigger than every human there. Mm-hmm. Tight ends show up. Drake May, huge guy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like one of the traits is he's a big guy. Cam would be looking down at him.
Only Alton, maybe J.C. Latham I was in the elevator with too. That's a big human as well.
And he had the hat on.
Yeah, right. So he's basically standing like 7'2".
All right. Well, thank you to the NFL Draft here in Detroit for hosting us. It's cold.
It's very cold.
Very cold. My nose is sprinting
There's
right now.
a 20-degree difference from here to right back there.
Okay, well, right back there is going to be good in a matter of moments whenever we go to the bathroom. We can't thank you enough for allowing us to do this for a living. We'll be back on Monday, overreacting to the rest of the weekend of sport and the NFL Draft. From all the boys and all the incredible people here, we appreciate you spending a couple hours with us. Have the greatest weekend of all time. We'll see you on Monday. Goodbye. I think we hit it. Thank you. Man, my nose has been running for about 45 minutes.
Dude, it is
it's
so
a wind
cold.
tunnel up here.
It is
so cold.
Legit thought it was going to happen. Herb Street was going to join us, but I think he's got to work, and I think we're going to tell him he doesn't have to come. It's been an honor.
Incredible.
Hasn't it?
It has.
It's been so cool, like the whole setup even too, like looking out over and seeing everything, and then even the camera shots from last night, being able to hear Goodell. Unbelievable.
You see Palamalu up there holding the terrible towel flag. Might be on the other side of the pole, might not be able to get there.
Oh, wow.
That's
amazing. He's spatting it off.
I can't go any further to left.
I know. We need you see Palamalu.
That's our Chiefsaholic. That's the second day in a row he's been full pads.
I like that spat.
Hell yeah, look at that guy.
There he is.
That's awesome. Hey, this golf jersey down here, Cody Goffington.
I love that they're embracing golf.
Jared Goff has to love this.
He has to.
Dude, remember, he got kicked out of L.A. because of a Mexican vacation.
Yeah, you're right.
Matthew Stafford and McVay were on a Mexican vacation with Jay Glazer and Andrew Whitworth.
That's right.
And they happened to be in the same hot tub and say, you know what? Yeah, I do want to come play for the Rams. And he goes, great. I got a quarterback I hate. I benched him for a guy. And they make a deal happen, and Jared Goff gets kicked out of L.A., sent to the wasteland of Detroit.
Oh, yeah, to die.
A wasteland of Detroit. The only reason why they're taking him or getting him is because they're picking up the deal. They're going to have to pay this guy. What a terrible, terrible, terrible mistake. Now this guy's on a Super Bowl run with the Detroit Lions, and the city's all the way back, and they're chanting his name. Jared Goff, good for you, buddy.
Yeah, boy, Goof.
They gave us an extra first-round pick just to take on the contract.
Yeah.
And now the whole city's chanting his name. That's a pretty cool.
He's about to have another deal, too, this summer, most likely, right?
Well,
everybody's saying he's next. But
they're getting another 50 a year. They got to pay him.
That's one of these.
Yeah, and how often does that happen in the NFL, too? And
Kurt Warner?
Take a team to the Super Bowl, and then 2 years
Oh,
later,
like
get shipped out of town.
And he was a stopgap.
You know?
He was here as like a 1 year in-between stopgap almost, and then he said, nah, I'm going to be the next guy.
Yeah, he moved his golf course up here.
He did.
He did move his golf course up here. What the hell is a sugar factory? This thing's been staring me right in my face.
There was one in Indianapolis for about a year, and then it went out of business.
American Brasserie?
It's a restaurant, I think.
Say that.
What is that?
I think they got some specialty drinks.
Just a ton of candy.
Yeah,
StockX still exists,
Wait, you
too?
got StockX,
Is that real?
like physical store of StockX?
That doesn't exist.
I ordered shoes from there like a couple
Oh,
weeks
yeah,
ago.
I ordered them online.
Oh, that's not the StockX. StockX is a shoe thing. I thought this was cyber. Crypto.
Yeah, crypto. I thought it was Sam Bankman-Fried.
Yeah, that's on me.
There it is.
That's on me.
He's doing well.
Hey, yes.
Good guy.
Heard he's in jail.
I think he might get out of
I bet he is.
No, he got like 50 years.
Oh,
I
bet he's going to go
No,
to
I
jail.
heard he did something happen with that.
Then
They
you look
dropped
at the, obviously, the Aiden Hutchinson
That's awesome.
billboard on the side of the building. That is sweet.
What building was that?
I don't know. It's tall
gigantic.
as shit. Hey, can you guys update a building once, maybe, Evan?
That's a beautiful building.
No, we like keeping them gritty here.
Yeah.
Gotta stay gritty.
What is that?
Gritty and shitty.
Is that the Chrysler building?
It's the model of Detroit.
What is that again?
Gritty
Hey,
and
what
shitty,
building
baby.
is that?
They don't.
It's the
They
Hutch
don't
building.
know.
Okay, it's the
Yeah,
Hutch building.
right.
Zoom out on that, Foxy, please. Yeah, like that's awesome. And then look to the left, that building to the left there. Greatness is on the clock. That
Love
is
that.
filthy. Like this is a great
love that.
location for the draft right now. It feels like a theater.
Yeah.
Like an amphitheater.
Yep.
Really?
But they shut down some streets. They obviously have done an incredible job. There's a casino right there who I hope everybody takes every single chip out of on the other side of the stage. And throughout the rest of this weekend, dreams are going to come true in the NFL in this glorious city that seems to be all the way back. Thank you for hosting us. And tomorrow, I'm going to be coaching in the West Virginia Mountaineer spring game.
Hell yeah.
Okay. My team, alongside Blaine Stewart, will be coaching against the greatest Mountaineer of all time in my eyes, Pat White, and the team on the other side.
Okay.
I'm calling plays. I'm going to be part of the action, and I cannot wait to get back on campus for that spring game. Garrett Green's our quarterback, so he's going to be running wild.
No
Brother.
big deal.
Yeah, that's going to be happening. And I already sent a video over to the boys. WVU Football posted it. They edited out my fuckings in there, though.
That's
Don't
Neil.
love that.
That's not my WVU.
That's Neil. He said, sorry, guys,
I
when
didn't
Pat
like that.
gets down here, we're going to wash his mouth out with soap.
Well-
We don't do that.
All right, listen, we do have high
said
character
that.
men at West Virginia. It'll be an honor to coach them.
Sure.
Tomorrow, half the team, the other half can go to hell, but like, I didn't like the whole.
Okay.
All right.
Hey, fuck the Lions and fuck Detroit!
Yes. Yes.
I like
You guys are going to be chanting Hendon Hooker in 2 years! Fuck off!
I need more.
More!
Get him. Thank you for your service.
Oh, man.
All right. Well, on that note,
Yep.
hey, thank you all.
Thank you, guys!
Love you guys.
Oh, shit. All right. Now, let's get out of here. All right. We'll be back on Monday. From all of us and Bill Belichick, I guess, thank you for last night. The numbers were absurd.
Yeah.
We did get a little talking, too, about the tipping of the picks, you know.
It's going to happen.
We'll get back to the lab and, fix that.
We'll try to figure out how not to do that.
Yeah, get better.
Yeah. I mean, that's not necessarily, we don't think on us, like the news shouldn't get out.
Yeah, maybe they should get,
That, is it our fault or is it the...
Yeah, is it Al
Got to
Breer?
tighten up the operation.
Yeah, is that on?
There's too many rats.
Children of GMs were sending DMs to guys, and
I mean, that has allegedly happened in the past, but nonetheless, it's been an honor to be here in front of the brand new Lions fans. And thank you to Commissioner Goodell for stopping by. Obviously, Dan Orlovsky, Michael Lombardi, Reggie Bush, everybody that we get to chat.
You guys are losers!
Add a third one.
How long do you think I could do
That's
this?
that's pretty good, pretty long
Not
right
bad.
there.
I've never worried about the fucking Lions, and today will not be the day that I start.
There's the problem. This is a brand new Lions.
Jordan Love's going to put his big old dick on every one of your foreheads for the next 20 years!
All right.
Love it.
Out there.
I love it.
I mean, these people in Detroit didn't deserve
Well,
it.
hey, they came at me first.
Who's
All
bumping
right?
whose gums?
That's right.
All right, we'll be back on Monday. It's an honor to be here.
It is.
All right, be a friend, tell a friend something nice.
Yep.
You know,
Love you guys. Love you guys.
There it is. There it is.
Hey, we're in this thing together.
That's
aren't we?
right.
Team on me. Hey, team on me. Here we go. Let's see if this works. Oh, yeah. Look at the hands.
There we go. There we go. There we go.
A lot of white people with fists up right now. Not great.
Keep those hands closed. Keep those hands closed.
Team on 3. 1, 2, 3. Team. All right, goodbye.